friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Xoxo Tarot, and in today's pick a card reading we are going to be doing a classic and just seeing today what it is you need to hear right now. So we are making room for whatever messages want to come through today, and today is an excellent example where it's absolutely okay to be drawn to more than one pile. All that matters is that you get something out of this and that the messages resonate. If they don't, then you can just discard them. Information is only valuable if it serves a purpose. So, okay, we have 4 different piles for you guys to choose from today. Starting with pile 1, we are going to be using the Celtic Tarot, and we have this piece of Angel Phantom Quartz. And then for pile 2, we have the Dark Wood Tarot, as well as this piece of Citrine. And then for pile 3, we are going to be using the Everyday Witch Tarot, which is still one of my favorites, and this piece of Lemurian Quartz. And then finally for pile 4, we are going to be using the Pagan Tarot, as well as this Amethyst point. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. Like I said, absolutely okay to pick more than one. If you find that you're in one reading and it doesn't really sound like what you need to hear, then don't waste any of your time and check out another pile or check out another video or do something else with your life. You have free will. Have fun, live it, have a good time, thrive. Anyway, once you've picked your pile or piles, you can go ahead and scroll down to the comment section or the description box where I will have each of the timestamps for each pile listed. And once you have picked your pile or piles, I will see you in your reading. Hi there, pile 1. If you guys chose the Angel Phantom Quartz and the Celtic Tarot, this is going to be your reading on what you need to hear right now. So I'm going to shuffle your tarot first, and then we're going to get into oracles. We're not doing an energy check today because you should be able to know whether, once I'm getting into it, whether this is something you need to hear or not. Yeah. Let's get some better shuffles out there. I hope everyone is doing well, especially with how crazy the energies have been. I will say this is a timeless reading, so it's meant for you whenever you find it, but if you're watching it as I upload it, there have been some crazy energies going on, especially with the eclipse and Mercury retrograde and all of that jazz. But let's go ahead and start by seeing what messages the Celtic Tarot has for you. Then we'll get oracles. And then, oh my god, I hate when it does that because it just ruins such a beautiful shuffle. Now we gotta do it one more time. But we will finish the reading off with channeled messages from your spiritual team, and then finally, one last bit of guidance. Okay, that was good. That was satisfying. We could start now. So, Spirit, what does pile 1 need to hear at this time, please? What does pile 1... Okay, one thing that I just noticed about how things are shuffling, I feel like you've been needing messages for quite a while, and it seems like nothing is hitting right, or like nothing is... I hope I can do this justice. Okay, we have the 2 of Pentacles, which is shields in this deck. What else does pile? We have the Star, Aquarius energy out here. We have the 4 of Wands in reverse. Oh, no, that's the 4 of Swords. Sorry. Well, never mind. We got the 4 of Wands too. Okay, so that's fine. And then, okay, on the back of the deck, we have the 3 of Cauldrons. And I did quickly... Oh, who's wanting to scoot out there? High Page of Swords. 8 of Cauldrons, okay. I did quickly want to say, I do have people that ask me what the back of the deck is, and, oh, it seems like the 8 of Cauldrons wants to be there, so we're just going to move this 3 of Cauldrons right here, and I am going to censor these, because I don't want to get demonetized. All right, but the back of the deck energy, oh my god, there's more, I didn't even realize it. But back of the deck energy, I typically use as a kind of summation of different energies. But let's go ahead and kind of like a main idea sort of thing, or a hidden energy. It just kind of depends on the moment. Right now, I'm kind of taking it as a main idea thing, but let's go ahead and look at your oracles now. So to start, we have romantic love. The frequency of romantic love supports our journey to feel whole and complete through the experience with and reflection of a conscious lover. We have faith in your dreams, and snake with Kundalini rising. Channel your creative passion and sensuality. Welcome the transformation. We also have Hagalaz, but forgive me if I accidentally say Haagen-Dazs. I've always got ice cream on the mind. And we have fortune teller tent. All of the answers are within you. External forces, influence, intuition. Finally, we have mice with loss, theft, and destruction. That's in the frame. And we have moon here. Let me make sure we smooch these guys up. Okay. Interesting energies to start out with, pile one. I can definitely see you've been going through a lot internally that has not been easy. You've probably felt really disconnected from people recently. Like, even if you've tried to talk about what you've been going through, it's like people might be able to listen and lend an ear, but they don't necessarily understand or empathize. Maybe you've been looking for someone to empathize with you, or someone who's been through the energies that you're experiencing already, so you can feel a little bit less crazy. But I do have to say, the reason why you're going through these energies is it's not a very common thing, is kind of the vibe that I'm getting. So it's not surprising that people haven't really been able to relate to you. I'm definitely curious to know what your relationship status is, because I feel like it could be in different places for some of you. For some of you, I get the vibe that maybe you're already in a relationship, but maybe things aren't really working out and you're not very happy. For others, I feel like it's quite possible that a relationship is something that you've been really wanting, but you're not really sure how it's supposed to come about. The major theme of what I'm feeling with these cards, just straight out the gate, is there's an element of expectations versus reality, and then also, what do I deserve? What do I want? What am I ready for? Things of that nature. One thing I have to say is, with this Hagalaz card being here, well, it's technically a rune, but it's a rune card. This talks about disruption, and important disruption. It's kind of tower energy, but we don't have the tower card here. We actually have the star, which is really good. What I'm seeing is that the way that you pictured your life right now is not what is happening in reality. Or the way that you pictured a certain relationship, if you're in one, or the way you pictured being to a certain point. Life isn't turning out the way you felt it would, the way you intuitively felt like it should be. If you are in a relationship, I think it's quite possible that you're experiencing a lot of, I don't want to say turmoil. It could be turmoil for some of you, but I think if it's turmoil, it's a lot. So it's much more internal than external. I feel like there's just a lack of reciprocity in the sense of you and your partner really understanding each other. But for others who are single, I kind of have two camps. There are those that are terrified of the idea of being in a romantic commitment with someone, and then there's those who that's all you really want, and it seems like the universe keeps throwing things your way that are not what you were looking for, and they might seem promising, and then they don't turn out to be what you thought they were. So we have three camps, which actually makes sense with the Three of Cups here. So I feel like if you're in a relationship and things are going really well, I don't think that this is your pile, but you can go ahead and listen and see if there's things that resonate. But I don't want to create any stress for someone who's in a happy, healthy relationship and isn't having any issues. I just don't think this is your pile. So anyway, I can definitely see that right now. Spirit's kind of confirming that a lot of your fears, a lot of your triggers, a lot of your uncertainty around relationships is kind of weighing on you. And I think that if you are single, it seems like the universe has maybe been putting signs in your way to kind of give you hints on the path that you're heading, but I don't think you're picking up on a lot of them. I feel like one commonality with everyone in this group is that there is an intensity of energy that you don't quite understand yet. You don't understand why this is happening or why certain things are happening outside of your control. And I feel a lot of fear, especially when it comes to your past experiences and fearing that they're going to happen in your present, especially if you are not in a relationship. If you're a commitment phobic person and it seems like the universe has been bringing someone into your life that you could see yourself committing to, I definitely see one thing straight out the gate that the universe wants you to know is that this is not this person is not meant to be a rug ripped out from underneath you moment. This person does seem to be incredibly stable, which is probably the vibe you're picking up on, but your fear is definitely getting in the way of that. If you are desiring a relationship but you don't have anyone in your life right now, I think one thing that the universe is wanting you to know is that there's a very important reason for this. And you ever notice that when you want something really badly, you don't get it, and the second you don't want it, it shows up? That's kind of something that's happening for you. But if you're in a relationship right now and things aren't working, I definitely see here the universe is asking you to be patient with what occurs between the two of you. I'm not saying that anything is definitively going to happen. That's up to your individual connections. But with the 8 of Cups being here, there definitely has to be some sort of change in the current dynamic in order for things to be more harmonious. So be patient with me as I pull these messages through, because they are coming from very different angles and I want to make sure I hit on all of them. So forgive me if I jump around a lot, but I definitely think you're really struggling to trust yourself right now in general. And the universe is asking you to reflect on why. Because it's easy for all of us to make mistakes, but I think that you almost don't make decisions because you're afraid that your decision would lead to a mistake. And so it might leave you in this awkward limbo where you're not really sure what to do, and it might seem like life is moving a bit slowly because you're almost kind of burdened by the things that you don't understand about yourself, by the things you don't understand about life right now, what's going on. And I do feel like you have this energy where you almost need to know what's going to happen before you make a decision. And I think that's one thing the universe is trying to get you to work on healing right now. I definitely can see in your past, maybe you've placed your trust in the wrong types of people, or you've placed your trust into people that seemed like they had really good intentions and then switched on a dime where it kind of just came out of nowhere for you. But you're in a very impactful cycle right now that may not be the most smooth, but will lead to a lot of joy. In fact, I even covered this up with a sun. Bumblebee jasper or lapis lazuli may be stones you want to look into. I've got a big old lapis guy right here. I think there's a lot of truth coming, and I think lapis could actually be a great stone, especially if you are connected to Archangel Michael in any way. You might want to get some lapis. It might be good to help you discern your truths and things like that. I get the vibe for some of you as well that you may be really restless right now, like maybe you're not sleeping really well or you're struggling to take time for yourself, and I think that's making things harder as well. If you're in a relationship, you might be weighing your options of what to do and what decisions you should make. I feel analysis paralysis, I guess is what I would say. And I guess this doesn't matter if you're in a relationship, but I think that there's definitely an element of you where it's hard for you to embrace the present and move forward with optimism or realism because of past pains and fears of what could happen. If you're in a relationship, the current person that you are with, you both are learning very important lessons. And there might be an awareness in this connection that where you were once on the same page, that may not be the case as much anymore. And so this is an opportunity for the both of you to kind of decide what it is you both truly want. And I don't mean that necessarily in terms of the relationship, but kind of. It's a bit paradoxical. It's a lot about you, but I feel this fear of like, what if I push something good away, or what if I make the wrong decision, or what if I make a decision and I regret it? There's a lot of what ifs and not a whole lot of action happening. But I think that if you're in a relationship, you'd probably agree that things haven't been very harmonious, and there's been a lot of fear and confusion and maybe not a lot of satisfaction. And I feel like the first thing that you need to know is that you know what to do about this situation. And that answer might be different for each of you. For those of you that are in a relationship, you know what to do. You're just not really quite open to the answer right now because there's a lot of fear of, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I do the wrong thing? So the first thing that you need to know is that you cannot mess it up. And that goes for everyone watching. You cannot mess your life up. You cannot mess your decisions up. It's your life. You're going to make decisions no matter what. And not making a decision is a decision in of itself. So remember that when you're kind of getting stuck in an energy of not knowing what to do, because you may very well push any options away and make that decision on your own. Not making a decision is a decision in of itself. So be aware of that. And I feel like you may be really, really hard on yourself right now. And I feel like the first thing that Spirit wants you to know is that you need to be kinder to yourself, which I know is much easier said than done. But there's this big energy from the universe asking you not to settle out of fear. And this goes for everyone, whether you're in a relationship or not. If you're in a relationship, the universe is asking you not to settle into a pattern that leaves you dissatisfied. If your partner isn't willing to work with you and create a dynamic that is more satisfactory, you might want to pay attention to that. If you are very afraid of commitment, but there's someone in front of you that you feel like you could really explore and see what happens here, the universe is not asking you to push that away and settle for aloneness out of fear. And if you are desperately seeking a relationship, really want that, and you have maybe an opportunity or two coming your way, but they don't necessarily seem like what you want, the universe is asking you not to settle for that just because that's what you want. There's this big energy of not making decisions out of fear in general. And the interesting thing that I'm getting, which I think it has a lot to do with this moon card, is that there's just so much uncertainty when it comes to your life path right now and your romantic life. There's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to what's the right thing to do, what's the best decision to make. I don't want to make the wrong decision. And there's a lot of cloudiness. And I feel like the universe is saying that's for a reason. We're not giving, even now, like trying to channel your energy, I'm not going to lie, it's really difficult. I'm trying my best to hit all the possibilities and all of the things that are coming through. But it's almost like the universe is using me to let you know that there's a reason why you're not getting the exact answers you need. And it's because, spoiler alert, the answers are within you. And there's a sense of needing to trust and empower yourself to make the right decision and trust that you're able to make that on your own. I do think that you're in a process of transformation right now where the universe is kind of creating circumstances that are going to be the catalyst for these transformations, which you've probably already had different experiences with this. But you might be worried that your own decisions could be could make what the universe is creating worse. And I feel called to tell you that the things that are happening in your external reality are not going to be exacerbated by your decisions. In fact, they're happening in order to help empower you to make the decisions that are best for yourself. I think that there are going to be things coming to light, no matter where you're at in your romantic life, where it's going to make a lot of clarity is going to come slowly but surely. I think the biggest thing is the universe is asking you not to make decisions based on fear, to not make decisions very rashly, but also to not make a decision at all, because that's a decision in and of itself. If you don't know this yet, the divine is full of paradoxy, and this is definitely a very paradoxical situation. So it's okay to be frustrated with me as I'm channeling, and it's okay to be frustrated with life or frustrated with yourself. There is a lot of frustrating energy here, but this is just part of a cycle that you're experiencing. And the biggest thing with the star here is you need to have hope that this is just temporary, because that's true. It is just temporary. And with this, have faith in your dreams. There is a need to reflect on what were the big things that you really wanted when you were young, when you thought about love and things like that. And I'm not talking about like certain looks or certain achievements that you could get, or like the ideal partner having certain I don't even want to say traits, like certain things that they've accomplished. This is much deeper in terms of like, what kind of partner did you hope to have? Is it somebody supportive? Is it somebody that can talk to you all night? Or is it somebody, I feel like you know deep down what's right for you. You may not know what type of package they come in, but I think you know what sorts of energy work with you in positive ways, and you know what sort of energy you would want to cohabitate with or share a life with. And I think the universe has either brought you exactly what you wanted and you're very afraid of that, or you're on the opposite end and you're finding that you're either not finding at all what you wanted, or you're finding that the relationship that you're currently in is not working, and you might be really questioning yourself and questioning your decision making and questioning whether you're doing the right thing. And so I'm gonna go on a tangent for a second, but I promise it has a point. I love trashy reality TV. I hope some of you do too. And, one thing that I find often, especially in shows like 90 Day Fiancé, when someone is finding love, they always have those family members or those friends that are like, oh, well, you've made bad decisions in the past, or you've done this or you've done that. How do you really know whether you can make the right choice or not? And it's always the biggest eye roll in the fucking world for me, because it's like, dude, you can't just tell people not to live their life because it might not work out the way that they're hoping. I feel like you might be experiencing this, maybe not from other people, but maybe for yourself, where you've made these decisions and the outcome wasn't necessarily what you were hoping, and now you're worrying about making decisions in the future because they may not necessarily pan out the way you want them to. And the universe is saying, that's life. And especially if you're in a relationship now, I feel like one thing you need to know is that you made your decisions based upon the energies that you were currently experiencing, and they were the right choices for you. It's just as people grow and evolve and transform, oftentimes they can end up on different pages, and it can be hard to have a connection with someone moving forward if you're unable to connect in ways than you did previously. That's life. Life is incredibly cyclical, and you're gonna have highs and you're gonna have lows, but ultimately you're in a state of transformation, major transformation actually. And the universe is kind of bringing these certain things to your attention, and by certain things I mean mainly your relationship with yourself and romantic relationships with others, because romantic relationships can be incredibly impactful and they can teach us a lot about ourselves. And I think what you need to know right now, the biggest thing you need to know right now, is that it's okay not to know. You might actually want to give it, like if you're stuck in this analysis paralysis, you might want to give your transformation a little bit more time and see if more clarity comes. I almost feel like you're not getting an answer quite yet because you're trying to force an answer so badly about what this situation may be, or maybe answers are trying to come to you and you're completely pushing them away. There's a lot of chaos in this pile, I'm not gonna lie, and it's a little bit tricky to channel, but I think the biggest thing that you need to know is that you're doing just fine, and that you don't need to put so much stress on yourself about figuring this out. Because honestly, even if you don't make a choice, like I said, that is a choice, and you're allowed to make that. I feel like you're just not giving yourself the room and space to be able to make mistakes or trust your intuition, even if you don't know where it's going to lead you. And the universe is asking you to kind of stop with that, because placing your fate in the hands of others is not going to get you where you want to be at all. In fact, it might get you further from where you truly want to be than you realize. And you might be really trying to get answers from your external reality and finding that none of them really hit right. You might even be finding that this doesn't really hit right either. There's a fucking purpose for that. It's because you're not gonna find it anywhere. It's within you. And part of that requires a bit of inward reflection. You know, the Four of Swords is a lot about healing. It's a lot about resting, especially mental rest. I think the biggest thing that you're struggling with right now is a racing mind. And you might be doing things to distract yourself, or doing things to kind of just ignore the problem. But the problem's going to continue to get bigger. The thing is, though, there's a lot of things that are outside of your control here, especially when it comes to the way the universe is kind of aligning things. But the key of what you need to know about all of this, despite how crazy this is, despite how confusing it is, I mean, I'm confused as fuck and I'm the one channeling it. So just know you're not alone here. I'm trying my best. But these are confusing energies. You're being led to joy. You're being led to happiness. And there's a very important card in a deck that I have that I always think of. It's the Moonology Oracle deck, if you're wondering. And I'm not using it today, but the card says happiness. And it says, I know I'm on the right path because I'm happy. And so if you're not happy with life right now, that's a sign that you may not necessarily be on the right path. And for some of you, especially if you're in that camp of really wanting a romantic relationship, but not knowing how to get there, or feeling like it's going to take forever, you may be creating that reality through your own doubt in the universe and through your own fear that it'll never happen. Because one thing I'm called to is that, you know, we have these two different paths here with the 10 of Wands and the 8 of Cauldrons. You know, they're actually kind of both uphill, and they're both very long. And I think that one thing Spirit is asking you to do, no matter what your situation is, to ask yourself how you're perceiving your life journey. Are you looking at it as something very dreadful or very exhausting or very tiring, or are you looking at how you can be happy in the present? Because I think actually really where a lot of this energy is leading you to is to realize that you create more stress for yourself than is necessary. And in fact, the more you focus on the present and the more you focus on finding your happiness in the present, or if not happiness, just peace and acceptance and awareness of the present moment, the easier it will be to have the answers come to you, and the more clarity and awareness will be brought about by that. I also think it's really important to not judge people in your present and future based on people from your past. It's important to give people the opportunity to show you who they are rather than write them off before they get that opportunity. I think the biggest thing that Spirit wants you to know is to not give up hope, and to not give up hope that you'll end up where you want to be and that you can solve this energy. I think this energy is just really frustrating to be in because you're not sure where the end of it is, and you're not sure what the other side of this energy will look like. There's just this feeling of the universe kind of saying, be patient with this energy and be patient with yourself as you work through this energy, because this is not easy energy to deal with. For some of you, you could be having a Kundalini awakening. But for others, I definitely feel like you're in this process of shedding old skin and shedding old identities of yourself. And I think maybe one of the challenges that you're having is as you've journeyed through life, as you've had your experiences, it's hard to have the same hope that you once did, you know, when you were a child and when you could look at things through more playful rose-colored glasses. But I think Spirit is saying those dreams that are really true to you, that are kind of an integral core part of your being, those haven't gone anywhere. And in fact, the only thing that's happened is your perception has changed of them based upon your past experiences. And so the universe is really challenging you as you shed these old versions of yourself, as you continue working on your healing journey, to really ask yourself what limiting beliefs you've put on your dreams because other people placed them there or past experiences taught you differently. Because I think that a lot of the destruction that the universe may be creating around your life right now is not necessarily a punishment, but more so the universe realigning things so that you can get what you actually truly want. And for some of you, you may not even know what you actually truly want. That's the beauty of the divine. They usually know what you want, whether you know what you want or not. And I think you may be putting too much pressure on yourself to figure out what it is you need, how you need to go about it, where you need to go. And it's like you need to have the entire journey mapped out when that's not even possible yet, because the destination is still being created and it's very much determined by your actions as well. I'm kind of thinking of, you know how when you're driving on like a really foggy night, it's really hard to see very in front of you, and all you can really do is focus on what's directly in front of you and the lines of paint that keep you on the right part of the road. It's kind of like Spirit is saying you can only really see what's directly in front of you right now because that's the only thing that's important. And I think you're pushing away the opportunities to explore the present energy because you're so afraid of the future turning out like your past and continuing a cycle that you don't want to be in. And the universe is saying, the only way you can really create an outcome like your past is if you continue to ignore the present and push things away out of fear, make decisions out of fear, and do everything out of fear, essentially. Even though we have this romantic love card coming up here, a lot of this is about you. And the type of people that you're attracting or the type of partner that you have, they can serve as a very valuable mirror to you in terms of learning more about yourself and understanding why you're aligned with these energies, or why you're at the spot that you're at, or why you're acting in the way that you're acting, or why you're experiencing the energies you're experiencing. I do think that there is a need to remember that nothing's ever perfect, but things that are truly aligned with you won't be disappointing. They'll bring you happiness, they'll bring you contentment, they'll bring you peace, and you'll know something's, you know that phrase, you know, when you know. Well, right now you don't know, and that's okay, but you need to trust that you'll know when the time comes. I'm sorry, I know this is very confusing. I hope that this is making sense, because like I'm confused as I'm channeling it, and I think I'm just also tapping into your confusion, but there's also like just a lot of racing energy in the sense of like your mind, and I don't know what to do. And I think there's a lot of fear of taking action that could alter your reality right now. For some of you, you may have gotten really comfortable in a certain way of being, in a certain way of going about things, and it's not really aligned with you anymore. And I think you're in this process of figuring out, okay, well, what's really going to work for me? What's really going to help me? I think your creativity could be something that helps you explore your inner depths. I really do think that a lot of this is about exploring your inner depths and learning how to trust yourself even when you don't know what the future holds or how your actions could impact the future. No matter what, you're going to learn and you're going to grow. And I think the biggest thing that you need to know here is that a lot of the events that are happening outside of your control are for your growth and are for your own evolution. And the universe does have your best interests in mind, because they are leading you to where you need to be. But there is a need to be aware of when you may be settling for something that doesn't make you happy, or settling for something that is unsatisfying or almost feels like your dreams can't be a reality. That might be something you want to be aware of that's maybe not aligned with you as much. I'm listening to Spirit right now, and my ear is ringing, and it's hard to get both in there. The biggest thing, honestly, that I'm hearing is that you're doing fine. You don't need to be stressing yourself out, and it's okay not to know right now. But once you do know, don't hold back on taking action because you're afraid, because then that's making a decision against what you know to be right. But this is an excellent example of how the divine is full of paradoxes, because this is just, these are lots of different paradoxes, and I think that you haven't really been able to discern your truth in these situations right now because you're still kind of clouded by fear. And I think that's kind of what this Four of Swords is talking about, is the fact that you're not really able to know what your truth is, because I think you're filtering your truth based on what other people think and believe, and also your past negative experiences that have created more fear. And so I think Spirit is really saying that it's okay to not know. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to be frustrated. Just know that this is a time of, what's the best word to use? Transition, where you're not necessarily sure what's on the other side, but the universe is asking you to trust that there are beautiful things coming. But there's a need to release how it happens, and a need to trust that you'll be led there, and a need to trust yourself that no matter what challenges life throws at you, you're going to be able to handle them, and you're going to be okay. I think that if there's been a lot of disharmony in your present or a lot of chaos, it may be harder to kind of go within and listen to yourself. So really anything that you can do to like give yourself 5 or 10 minutes of just mental peace, mental space, I think could be really, really helpful for you. The divine is on your side. The divine wants you to have faith in your dreams, have faith towards what you're going towards. I mean, we wouldn't have the star in this card if this have faith in your dreams card if that weren't the case. I think there's just this energy of needing to know what you're worth, needing to know what sort of treatment you're worthy of and what sort of treatment is not acceptable, a need to know that you can trust yourself to navigate these challenges and make the best decisions for yourself. Even if you find later that maybe it wasn't the best decision, you learn and grow so that you can make the next best decision next time, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm digging myself into a spiral of just overthinking and trying to relay these messages. So I hope I'm hitting on certain things. But I think the biggest thing you need to know is that you're doing just fine, and that if anything, you need to be kinder to yourself and more compassionate during this time, and know that this energy of uncertainty is not going to last forever. And if you are someone who is really seeking a romantic relationship, I feel like one thing you need to know right now is that you're in this important process of transformation that's getting you ready for someone really special, and you're being asked not to settle for something that you know isn't right for you because of the desire to have a romantic connection in general. And I also think you're being asked to not look at this journey as something long and arduous, because that may be a self-fulfilling prophecy. In fact, this energy could be leaving sooner than you realize. It's more so about how you interact with it and how you see it, because it could be quite possible that you prolong the energy because it almost becomes a beast of its own instead of just flowing through it. I think there's a need for you to flow through it as it comes, and be patient and trust that there's a greater reason for all this happening, because there is, and it's all for your highest good. But it's really frustrating to hear that stuff in the moment, because obviously, like, we want to know why things are happening. We want to know why we're not being given certain things, or why certain things aren't working out the way we thought they were. And honestly, the universe doesn't really have to answer, because you'll see in time, and they can't really give me the answers, because then that would be cheating, and you wouldn't grow. You know how in your like math book, you can go to the back and see all the answers and stuff. And it's like, yeah, you can do that and it'd be easier, but you're not really learning anything. You're not really growing. It's like the universe has the answers in the back of the book, but they're not going to give them to me and they're not going to give them to you, because then you wouldn't do the work. Then you wouldn't, and then that outcome wouldn't even happen. That answer wouldn't happen if you didn't. They know what is going to happen because they know the action you're going to take, even though it's also determined by your... The divine is confusing and full of paradoxy, but the core messages of what you need to know is that A, you're doing great, sweetie. B, stop being so hard on yourself. C, it's okay not to know, but once you know the answer, don't hold back on taking action out of fear, because that's a decision in of itself that, like we were talking about. And D, I think you just need to know everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Do not let your fear override the beautiful things that are coming your way. And not only that, don't try to force something that you know in your heart isn't right out of fear that there won't be anything else, because there always will be. This whole journey is leading you to joy. It's leading you to camaraderie. It's leading you to happiness. But you have to be able to let go of what isn't working anymore so that you can make room for what is. And that's going to look different for all of you. But the biggest thing you need to know, I think, period, is that you've got to trust yourself first before you take in the opinions of others or the influences of others or what other people think. Because ultimately, you know yourself better than anyone, and you can trust yourself to make the best decisions. You're going to kick yourself later if you make decisions based on what someone else said, because you're going to realize it wasn't right. I mean, I think maybe one of the most helpful things that you could do is decide for yourself what you think you should do. And then if you want to talk to someone about it and see what they have to say, weigh it with what you already think. Don't necessarily tell them what you're deciding, but you might be surprised. Maybe for some of you, they'll reiterate what you've already decided. But I feel like for a lot of you, you'll realize after you've made your own decisions, like the advice that they would have given you would have just made you more unclear and made you feel more lost. So really, ultimately, you're going through a transformation right now, and that is a little bit frustrating and challenging, and it can be scary, but trust that you're being led to joy. You're being led to something really beautiful. And I think on the other side of this, you'll realize, oh, wow, I really could have trusted myself the entire time. It was okay to trust myself. But I'm going to go ahead and start getting into advice now, because I feel like I'm kind of talking into a circle, and I don't want to confuse you guys. I want to keep you on, I want to help. I don't want to make things worse. So sorry if I am. I'm trying my best with the tools that I have, but we'll see what channel messages Spirit has first, and then as I'm cutting the deck, I just want you to see believe in yourself, believe in your dreams. What you believe is what you will create. You can do anything. However, I do want to say, when it comes to negative thoughts and fears and things like that, it's really easy to think negatively. And if you're the type of person who has one negative thought and then is afraid it will manifest, I would ask for you to reframe how you see that. Instead of looking at negative thoughts as things that will manifest, see them as roadblocks that could slow manifestations down, and look at them instead as opportunities to look at something a different way. So if you're saying something negative to yourself, ask yourself how you can say it in a neutral or positive way, whichever is most comfortable for you. But let's go ahead and get some channel messages now. Spirit, what do you need pile 1 to know? What is important for them to hear at this time? Accept. It is what it is. Healing occurs naturally with acceptance. Make peace with what is. The only way out is through. Yeah, that's a lot of what I feel like you're having to do, is kind of accept with what you're at. Oh, and another thing too is healing isn't always conscious, and it doesn't have to be. If you keep having these thoughts like, I need to heal this, I need to figure this out, I need to figure out how to heal this, instead of feeling like you need to figure it out or put all the weight of healing on your shoulders, trust that the universe can bring about the experiences naturally that you need to. You can pray for assistance and help also, but trust that healing can happen on subtle levels, and it doesn't have to be so conscious all the time. It can happen in very subtle ways that have really impactful results. But what else, Spirit? Let it all flow to you. Allow others to lead. Let go of control and expectations. Trust what is yours will always find you. And guardian angel, someone from the other side says hello. You are guided and protected. Yeah, I think maybe one thing you're really struggling with right now is just being able to trust the universe. And I think that this is a big exercise in trust in yourself and trust in the universe. And the more you kind of redirect your, and that's the thing, it's like, how do you trust? Well, you don't. You just kind of make the decision that you're gonna trust what happens and trust the process and go as it will. It's not necessarily easy, but it's better than not having any faith, right? There we go. Go to nature, take a walk, have a picnic, lay on the grass, look up at the clouds. I think that alone could really help you it could help you kind of clear your mind, especially if you have a lot of chaos at home and things like that, and just make space for answers to come to you. I think you may feel like you have to go in this arduous trek to find the answers when the universe is really trying to slow you down so it can bring the answers to you and see what in your immediate environment can give you answers, but you have to be open to it. Luckily, the universe is really patient and will continue to give you answers even when you miss them. We also have protection. Thank God for unanswered prayers, rejection, and setbacks, our blessings in disguise. The universe knows best. And on the back of the deck, we have keep being you. What others say or do is a reflection of them, not you. Don't take anything personally. It drains your energy. And I agree. So we're going to go ahead and finish this reading off with a card from the White Light Oracle. I'm hoping that it will bring a lot of clarity, because I know this was not the easiest message. This was not the easiest message to channel. So please be patient with me, but also be patient with yourself, because this is some sticky energy. So Spirit, what final advice do you want to leave pile 1 off with? What is important for them to know? So we have Sovereign, Queen, Maeve. Let's go ahead and see what the book says. Value is sacred to you by protecting it. I already started by reading that wrong. Value what is sacred to you by protecting it from interference, even that which may be well-intentioned. Be compassionate, but set firm boundaries. You are going to triumph over a negative situation. It will take courage, but you have more than enough inner strength, resourcefulness, and boldness to accomplish what you wish to attain. Do not give up. You have the ability to connect with higher worlds, so open your heart and mind to the light. At the portal between everyday reality and the rapture of unchecked aliveness stands Sovereign Queen Maeve. She is an initiatrix, taking us beyond the constraints of polite moralism and into the bliss, sacred passion, grit, and astuteness needed to cultivate and protect the light. Goddess, warrior, queen of the Fae, and fearless guardian and protector of territory, Maeve is wild and determined. She stimulates confidence, encouraging one not to shy away, but rather to assertively engage with life and claim your true place in the world. She encourages us to refuse to allow our sacred territory to be intruded upon by unworthy rulers, whether they be critical voices in our own mind or ego-driven interlopers. Maeve is the instinct to engage when challenged, to call on recruits, and use all the inner wisdom and talent at your disposal so you can assert the light and refuse to be put down or denied your rightful place. Protecting territory from a spiritual perspective is unlike the grasping and self-serving of the ego that wishes to obtain whatever it can for its own benefit. This world needs souls who are willing and able to hold sacred space and refuse to allow it to become contaminated by greed, jealousy, hate, or confusion. This is an act of courage and selflessness. Such an act of courage serves all beings. To be a son or daughter of Maeve requires some spiritual chops. It takes feisty refusal to be dominated or controlled. It also takes the wisdom to recognize that one can lovingly accept all that is without judgment, whilst discerning when and how to set a firm boundary, lest sacred space be trampled upon and defiled by ignorance. Rapture is a pathway out of control and into the sacred and consciously chosen abandonment into something greater than the self. When the ocean into which we plunge ourselves is that of the spirit, then our ecstasy becomes a revitalizing, frequency-raising soul-empowering experience which manifests pathways to victory, where in a lower state of awareness there appeared to be no hope. If we honor our need for communion with the sacred realms, we will give ourselves the time and space we need to integrate relevant practices into our lives. Committing to a spiritual practice requires a self-possession to know what matters to you, irrespective of whether another or society in general can recognize the wisdom in your values. Sovereignty is self-possession. It is the belonging to oneself that happens internally as we claim our being and commit to our unique life journey. True spiritual sovereignty exists outside of social mores. It is not about becoming subversive or disrespectful to others, but rather seeking out freedom of being. This leads you to naturally becoming an active presence which dismantles enslaving social mores and stimulates society to mature spiritually. This oracle asks you to come home to yourself again and again. Know you are strong enough to live your life and chart your course in communion with the sacred. In Sanskrit, Swaraj, I'm probably saying that wrong, is self-rule, and as the meaning of Raj is also radiance, it can also mean self-luminous. Do not allow your destiny to rest in the hands of others. Recognize that the light within is your true ruler. You have the power to light yourself up with spirit. Commit to what you can do and believe the realms of the divine are working with you. Do not be dissuaded. You shall be victorious. And I absolutely agree with that. So there is a healing process here, which I'm just gonna, like, I don't know, I hope it's showing up on camera. If you just want to screenshot that, you can do the healing process here. So if you're wondering how can I heal, well, you can use this healing process that is here for you. But yeah, just screenshot that and do what you will. But pile 1, I'm gonna leave this reading here. I really hope that this gave you answers. This was definitely a very confusing reading to channel, so I hope that you got some answers or some clarity despite all the lack of clarity you're experiencing right now. But thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me and my channel and exchange energy with me. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You could subscribe if you haven't already and click that little bell notification to be part of my notification squad. I typically do respond to comments when I first upload, so if you want your comment to be seen, might want to click that notification bell. But I also have merch, which is linked below, and my social media is linked below as well, though do be aware I have tons of scammers that pretend to be me. So just know I do not offer personal readings, and I will not try to solicit a personal reading from you in your DMs. But that is all I have for you guys, so thank you so much for watching and for being here. I hope that this reading helped. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 2. If you guys chose the Citrine stone and the dark wood tarot, this is going to be your reading on what you need to hear right now. So we're just going to go ahead and see what that is. Not doing an energy check today because you should be able to know whether something is for you or not after you've listened to it for a bit. But the energy check is kind of built in anyway. But yeah. So we are just going to see what comes through for you, and we will, after we do that, we'll get channeled messages from your spiritual team and finish off with final guidance. So let's see, Spirit, what does pile 2 need to hear right now? Okay, we have the 4 of Wands in reverse. We have the Fool upright. We have a Hierophant in reverse. We have Judgment in reverse. We have the Ace of Swords upright. And we have the 8 of Cups upright, and back of the deck energy is the Knight of Wands in reverse. Okay. I hope you can see that. Honestly, the Knight of Wands isn't very important. I mean, if you're watching it and deem it is, but let's go ahead and look at your oracles now. We'll keep going. So to start, we have Soul Time. The frequency of soul time asks us to allow the possibility of a new reality to emerge, one that embraces the concept that while the corporeal body is mortal, the soul is timeless, limitless, and infinite. We have Rado, and we have moonlit baths, take it easy, relaxation, rest, pause. We have Frog, stepping into your power, don't take a back seat in your story, it's time to step up. And we have you're very close to achieving your goal. We also have the Moon and stability, illusions, memories. And finally, we have the Fool in reverse this time. Whew, powerful pile here. Heavy-hitting energies, I'm not gonna lie. But this is actually really exciting. A lot of this you already know, you just needed to hear it from someone else other than yourself. So I definitely think you're on the precipice of a new beginning, whatever that is for you, even if not much is changing in your reality. I think your internal world is changing a lot. But I see the biggest thing that's stopping you from fully embracing this is the fact that you don't trust yourself. And not only that, I feel like you really discount how much you've grown and how much you've evolved. Because I feel like despite all of the spiritual growth that you've had, I feel like you still see yourself as the person you were when you kind of first started on your evolution of growth and change and growing as a person. And I think Spirit is saying, you know, you're not the person you were when you started this journey. And you can't place the same judgments that you had back then on yourself or on how well you're going to do on this journey forward. I feel like you don't trust yourself to be successful and you don't trust yourself to achieve things. And in fact, it might be that you're so afraid of proving those fears correctly that you actively hold yourself back or assume that you're wrong or that you'll fail, because you're afraid of being blinded by hubris or something like that. But you don't have any hubris to worry about, pile 2. Oh my goodness. A lot of your fears and lack of faith in yourself are an illusion that do come from your past, but I feel like you've healed a lot of this. It's residual energy that you just haven't let go of yet. And I think you may be especially vulnerable to the powerful energies of the collective. And I think it's important to remember that you are not the collective and you are not a typical person in the sense of your journey of evolution is going to look different than others. And I think you've received a lot of clarity about why you're here, what you're meant to do, but there's a part of you that's hesitant to let go of your past self because it's different, because it's weird, and it requires you to boldly embrace the person that you are without care of what other people may think of that. I think that you have an element of yourself, and I would say this is a childhood, like your inner child or inner adolescent, that is just really afraid of being outcasted and of being shamed. Like I'm hearing bowling for soup in my head, like high school never ends. Like, and there is a lot of truth to that, but the universe is trying to get you to realize that you have so much more power now than you did back then. And in fact, I think you're very afraid of stepping into your power because you're afraid of this change. You're afraid of the awareness of, oh, wow, I really have been holding myself back, or the fear of, well, what if I fail, or what if I'm wrong, or what if I do something stupid, which, first of all, we all do stupid things all the time, so don't be afraid of that because it's just going to happen. But also, you underestimate how much you've grown, and you underestimate how powerful you are. And I feel like you're really struggling to allow yourself to be in the driver's seat of your own life, because I think maybe you're really used to people being maybe domineering or telling you what to do. And now that you finally have the opportunity to call the shots, I think you're recognizing, oh wait, calling the shots is really scary. What if I make a mistake? What if I do something wrong? You might, but guess what? That's okay, because you're strong enough to handle any challenges that come your way. I mean, with the frog card being here with stepping into your power, I mean, at this stage in the game with where you're at, I think you would much rather make a decision and realize you've made a mistake or done something wrong then allow someone to speak for you and something wrong happen, and know that the entire time you had the ability to prevent this, or you had the ability to choose something else. I feel like this next cycle of your life is a lot about doing things on your own terms. But it's very scary for you to do things on your own terms because that's new for you. But that's what this journey, this part of this journey is about. You've made room for your soul to come through, for your higher self to come through. And I think at times the decisions that your soul wants to make, your logical brain doesn't necessarily understand. And I think that can be very scary and create a lot of hesitation. I think you might actually exhaust yourself with constantly doubting what you should be doing and overanalyzing it to the point where you don't make a decision, or you prolong making a decision or moving forward because you need rest. Well, the only reason you really need so much rest is because you wear yourself out every day, constantly doubting the decisions you want to make. You honestly need a little bit more Aries energy in your life of just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, who cares? Like, and just going for it. It's that almost naive energy. But the thing is you're not naive. You're ready to make these decisions. With the Ace of Swords here, you have a lot of clarity, and I think you fully recognize that you can't continue living the way you once did. It's time for change. It's time for growth. I think you're just very afraid of having past things happen, or having past experiences happen again, and this time them being quote unquote your fault. And Spirit's saying that's not the point of this. That's not directly going to happen. And maybe part of you wants to mourn the past version of yourself, and maybe that's what you're doing right now. But I feel like you need the encouragement that nobody is going to give you an invitation to start living your life on your own terms. You just have to decide to do it. And maybe you've been prolonging that decision because it's scary being in the driver's seat, but also, I think you need to recognize, you need to stop comparing yourself to other people and their journeys, because your journey is not theirs. And it's important to remember that comparison is the thief of joy. I feel like you don't realize how close you are to unlocking a lot of opportunities and fulfilling like maybe different manifestations or different goals that you've had. You've made a lot of progress, and I think it's hard for you to be aware of that because you may be really critical of yourself. So that needs to chill a little bit. You need to get a grip on how you talk to yourself. And if you can't do that on your own, I would really suggest that you seek help in some sort of way, because your mind is definitely your biggest enemy. I mean, there's really nothing stopping you at this point other than your own illusions about you not being capable of achievement, of you not being capable of doing things your own way. You need to stop comparing yourself to people that you see online, that you see doing certain things, that you see doing things a traditional way. Your life is not meant to happen on a traditional route, and you need to stop comparing yourself to other people. You need to stop comparing yourself to other people's failures, especially because that doesn't mean they're going to be yours. Your path is unique to you, and I feel like the universe is really saying, you know, it's okay to take some time to rest and recuperate before you continue moving forward. But if you're using that as an excuse to stop you from taking action, other people might step in and make decisions for you that you don't want to happen. And you're going to really kick yourself if that happens. But I feel like the universe is saying you're doing great. It's only your perception that you're not. Like, literally all you really need to know right now is that you have permission to start driving your own life, to start making your own decisions. You always did have that permission, but I think that maybe your past experiences or the people around you made you feel like you weren't capable of having agency over your own life, and that was just a distortion and an illusion that you had to grow from, learn from, and see through. You know, obviously when we're being raised by people, sure, they have the power then, but eventually we become an adult and are able to make our own choices, and nobody's going to come out and say, hey, pile 2, you can make your own decisions now. Nobody does. It seems like that should happen, but it doesn't. And so I feel like the biggest thing you need to hear is that you need to give yourself permission to actually live. I feel like you think about living, you dream about living, you dream about taking risks and taking action and doing all these things, but you don't actually go about it because you're afraid of what that would actually look like, or you're afraid of making a mistake, or there's things that you would face that you're afraid of. And I feel like the universe is saying, you're not going through all this spiritual growth just to look at life from afar and fantasize about what it would be like to be involved. You're meant to be involved in life. You're a human. You're not meant to stay entirely detached and just be an observer. You're meant to live too. And part of your healing has been a process where you can actually be immersed in environments and be immersed in living because you've worked through enough to the point where, you know, your own fears and your own mindsets aren't going to completely stop you from being able to be present in the current moment. You've had a lot of positive forward movement, but I think you're just very, very, very afraid of being responsible for yourself. And I think the sooner you can embrace that, the easier it will be to move forward and start taking action. The only thing stopping you right now is action. It's just you're afraid of what action to take, but I think that you need to know that you can trust yourself to make the right decisions. And I shouldn't even say you don't know. You can trust yourself to make the decisions that will be best for you. I won't say right decisions. There's no such thing as right decisions, but we might be seeing that as, oh, what if I make the wrong decision? Remind yourself there are no such things as wrong decisions. Look at your life like a GPS and think about the destination as a lesson you're learning. And which route you take doesn't really matter. You know, you might take one route and it gets you there quicker than you thought it would. You might decide to take a shortcut and accidentally get a flat tire, but then maybe you have some really cool experience, like you get to go to some cool ass restaurant that is off the beaten path, and then somebody fixes your tire for free and you get there anyway. There's no, the point of that analogy is that there's really no wrong way to do things. There's just different opportunities and different choices. And I think you need to be able to trust yourself to make the choices that feel right for you, and trust that no matter what challenges come your way, you can face them. But I think you're so focused on anticipating challenges that you don't even think about, well, what if it's easier than I thought? Well, what if it happens more smoothly than I thought? I think you're so focused on the negatives at times that it's hard for you to think about the opposite, which is positive. I think you view positivity as delusion, and that's just not the case. Unfortunately, a lot of our society does, but that's just the result of living in a very nihilistic society. Nihilism is not, what's the best word to use? Is not enlightenment, I guess what I would say. You know, nihilism is a perspective, but it's a very bleak one that really doesn't make room for good things, positivity, optimism, joy, things like that. I feel like society views nihilism as truth, and it's not. It's just one way of looking at things. The same way being overly optimistic is one way of looking at things. You have a very realistic outlook on life. I just think you're very averse to looking at the positives that could happen, or just being positive about what could happen. And I think that the biggest thing you need to work on is optimism about your ability to take the lead in your own life. And you don't have to say, like, I'm going to take the lead in my own life and everything's going to be sunshines and rainbows, because that's not how life is. But you can say, I'm ready to take the lead in my own life, and I can trust that I will make the decisions that are best for myself, and I can trust that I can face any challenges my way and embrace the good times that happen. You know, it might be hard for you to have a good time when good things are happening, because you're so focused on that good time ending, or the fact that it won't be forever, that you don't enjoy it while it's happening. And then all you have is the nostalgia in the future to look back and think, I wish I would have embraced that moment more. This is a lot about like learning to chill out when it comes to tearing yourself down and not believing in yourself. There are so many illusions that you are serving yourself to just keep yourself small, because I think you're very afraid of looking at seeing what you can actually do and seeing yourself at max power. Because I think you'll realize looking back, like, wow, I really did hold myself back, or wow, I really didn't realize how powerful I was. And you're on this journey of recognizing how powerful you are. But I think you need to stop comparing it to other people's journeys, or comparing yourself to other people and thinking that your journey is going to happen in a linear fashion, or that nothing good is going to happen, or that everything's going to be challenging, or everything's going to be hard. That's not necessarily the case. Some things might actually be far easier than you realize. And I think the universe is saying, you're doing great. You're so close to achieving so many things that you want. And the only thing holding yourself back is that fear of taking the leap. I think you doubt your intellectual capabilities. You doubt your ability to handle stress. You doubt your ability to handle challenges of life. And I think the only way you're going to realize that you're actually capable of handling them is having that shit come up and having to deal with it. You have the ability to achieve and overcome so much, and you're going to do it anyway. The thing you just need to know is you got to work on what your self-talk is, and how you think about yourself, and how you think about what you can achieve, because that is the biggest thing that limits you from what you already are meant to do, what you already are meant to achieve. More so than anything, you are far more brilliant than you give yourself credit for. And that's partially why you might think you're so dumb. You know, the only things, the more you know, the less you know. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing. You shouldn't go into things thinking you already know what's going to happen. And that's the beauty of life, you know? You're not supposed to know what's going to happen. That's what makes it fun. And yeah, it does make it stressful too. But I think there's a need to be able to trust yourself that you can handle whatever this journey throws at you, and every experience you have will just bring you more clarity and more wisdom that you can apply to future situations. You don't need to have the entire journey mapped out, you know, you just need to take things one step at a time and take them as they come, and take time for rest as well, because you might find that you get on a roll and the success you achieve or the things you're doing might almost get addicting. So make sure you're paying attention to the vessel that you're in and taking care of that as well. But really all you need to know is that you need to stop holding yourself down, and give yourself permission to break free and go after what you want, and not be paralyzed by what you may be doing wrong or what bad things could possibly happen. Just give yourself permission to start embracing this new reality, because I think one thing you also need to recognize is that whatever you believe, that is what your reality will be. Whether you can or you can't, you're right. So pay attention to how what you think and believe creates your reality. And I would say, challenge the negative things you say about yourself and about reality, because I promise you they're far more about your limiting beliefs than they are actual truths. And it might be painful to realize that, it might be frustrating to realize that, but when you challenge those beliefs, you open up possibilities of having a far more well-rounded perspective and a positive outlook that could help you start every day with a better attitude than, oh, I'm gonna fail, or this is gonna go wrong, or just being plagued by fear. We're all plagued by fear, I feel like, but I mean, when you're plagued by fear and have the ability to do it anyway, that's what makes you a badass. I don't think that there's anyone in this world that truly has their life figured out or knows exactly what they're doing. They just do it anyway. The difference between most people is just the action they take or the action they don't. Do you want to live your ideal reality in your head, or do you want to take action towards your ideal reality and find peace in the fact that you've done all you can to create the life that you want? I would choose the latter, but that's up to you, because you have the power to make your own decisions in your life, don't you? Yes. So that was a pretty concise message. Let's go ahead and see what Spirit wants to say to you now with these channel messages. I believe in you so much. Like, you're so badass, Pile 2. Like, and the cool thing too about this deck, I feel like you've done so much shadow work. You've done so much healing. You've done so much to help yourself grow and evolve. And it's like, you've come out on the other side and you're like, did I really learn anything? Did I really grow? Well, the only way you're going to find out is if you're faced with situations you've been faced with in the past and see if you choose differently, right? Your greatest challenges are your biggest blessings. Don't give up before the magic happens. You're leveling up. So that was just me cutting the deck, but I agree. You are leveling up, and you got to stop acting like, it's like Mario Kart, you know? You're ready for 150cc. Stop acting like you need to be on the 50cc track. Like, that's not it. Like, you're ready for more challenges. You're ready for more. You can handle it. You're talented. All right, one more good shuffle, and we'll go into it. Okay. Spirit, what messages do you have for Pile 2 right now? Lead by example. Don't react to how others have treated you. Choose who you want to be and your world will transform. Oh, okay. We have guardian angel. Someone from the other side says hello. You are guided and protected. We also have meditate. Make time to just be, get lost in the moment. A chill you is patient, creative, and happy. So that might be a goal that you want to think about every day. Maybe when you don't know what to do or what action to take, say, how can I be patient, creative, and happy today? Or maybe one of the three if life is extra challenging. We also have be what you seek. Let your desires inspire you to transform. Match the vibration of what you want. We also have all is temporary. It's okay not to feel your best. Like the moon, we go through phases. Give yourself time to get your groove back. This too will soon pass. And on the back of the deck, we have you are enough. You always have been. You always will be. Release attachments to relationships and achievements to feel worthy. I absolutely agree with that. And I think the more you allow yourself to just be what you are and give that version of you power, man, the better off and the more at peace you'll be. But we're gonna go ahead and finish this reading off with a guidance card from the White Light Oracle. So Spirit, what guidance do you have for pile 2? What do they need to know this time? Okay. We have Karma of Kutuhala. I hope I'm saying that right, but we'll go ahead and see. Where is it? Also, sorry, I use these decks for myself and highlight a lot. Okay. Your sacred soul passion is powerful enough to shift the state of your inner reality and your outer experience. So commit to what truly ignites your heart and do not be dissuaded by anything or anyone. If you are seeking to make a commitment, do so when it truly connects to your heart. Follow your genuine, meaningful bliss. Know that no matter what appears to be, you shall prevail. You shall arise. Kutuhala is a Sanskrit term that translates as that which excites wonder. Even if it doesn't seem like it will lead us anywhere practical, following our bliss can allow for something beautiful and deeply fulfilling to unfold. We often pursue what is sensible and secure. Yet what could be more appropriate or divinely and delightfully inappropriate than pursuing a path so intoxicating, so fascinating, so utterly mesmerizing to the spirit that no matter what challenges arise, you feel so much love and commitment and passion you shall not turn away. That is the stuff of potential greatness. We might call it being led by our hearts. Kutuhala is permission to do just that. The shadow side or unconscious pursuit of Kutuhala is seen when we chase our bliss in such a way that nothing genuine ever gets a chance to mature. We might be lured by greener grass and chase after every new possibility like a butterfly flitting from place to place. This doesn't involve the heart, but rather the restless mind, which acts from fear and avoidance rather than using passionate devotion as its foundation. The commitment that emerges out of true Kutuhala is not about clipping one's wings, but about growing them and learning how to fly skillfully. Without commitment, one takes a leap, tries to fly, fails, and rather than going through the process again and again until there is an understanding that leads to mastery, one tries to ride a bike or surf, dance, teach, heal, or innumerable other things, never giving any a chance to settle and evolve. There is inherent wisdom in Kutuhala. Let yourself be truly excited and inspired. Allow yourself to stumble, to not know, to become a holy mess that precedes sacred rebirth. When your attraction is deep and soulful, you will have the capacity to stay the course, even through difficulties. Don't allow the ego to tell you that the struggle must be a sign a path isn't right for you, and thus drag you away in search of a substitute paradise. The Oracle of Karma of Kutuhala can relate to those times when you are just discovering the path, feeling inexplicably fascinated by something, and are encouraged to explore just what the true nature of that fascination could be. Then, the karma of wondering is guiding us to fulfill the deepest longings of our soul and attain spiritual freedom in the process. We often think of karma as negative, but positive karma is our connection to guiding grace, the soul's delight that empowers us to live with joy and rapture. We can cultivate positive karma in the way we live our life, from the heart with forgiveness, a sense of worth, and gentleness in our hearts. This oracle guides you towards spiritual empowerment, your ability even today to create something positive, gracious, and loving. What ways of being and which practices would enhance your ability to be a generator of positive karma in this lifetime. Small steps can lead to great accomplishments when we stick to a path. Be patient in your passion and you shall go far. This oracle encourages you to recognize that in its own inimitable way, spirit is practical. It just tends to go via the deliriously rapturous, astonishing, and deeply healing route. Trust what you love and let your heart lead you. You and your life shall become luminous, sanctified in the grace of alchemical transformation. An unexpected and miraculous arising is at hand. And there is a healing process here, so if you want to screenshot it and do that, I think that would be very helpful. It would be a great way to take action. I think one way you could empower yourself is to decide whether to do that or not, but I think that pretty much reiterated what I was trying to say, only much better. So pile 2, I think I'm gonna leave your reading here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me in my channel. But if you would like to support me in my channel in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, you can subscribe if you haven't already, and you can click that little bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can also check out my social media, which is linked below, though do be aware I have tons of scammers pretending to be me. So just know that I do not offer personal readings, and I will not try to solicit a personal reading from you in your DMs. And I have merch, which is linked below as well. But that's all I have for you guys. So I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video. And I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 3. If you guys chose the Lemurian Quartz and the Everyday Witch Tarot, this is going to be your reading on what you need to hear right now. So we're going to give these a good shuffle so I can pick all of them up and go from there. So after we look at what you need to hear, we will pull channeled messages from your guides and finish off with some advice. Give it one more good shuffle. We're just going straight into tarot today because there's no really reason to do an energy check, because after listening for a sec, you should know whether you need to hear it or not. But anyway, let's go ahead and see. Spirit, what does pile 3 need to hear at this time? Okay, we have the Ace of Cups. We have the 5 of Cups. We have the King of Cups upright and the 2 of Wands in reverse. We have the 7 of Wands upright. We have the 8 of Wands in reverse, and on the back of the deck we have the 3 of Cups in reverse. Okay, let's go ahead and get your oracles now. So to start, we have Synergy. The frequency of Synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that result in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that new yet exciting co-creations can give birth to a new reality. We also have Naughties. Might be saying that wrong, hopefully not. We have Childhood Home. Tap into your inner child, childhood memories, play, youthful energy. We have Horse with Free Spirit. Give yourself the space and freedom to express your creativity. We have Meditate and Contemplate with New Moon in Pisces. I'm actually gonna switch these. We also have, oh, I'm gonna say that word wrong, so I'm just not even gonna say it. Past Returns, Fear, Sorrow, and Seer. Okay, well, the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between intuition and anxiety. I talk about this a lot, but I always say that intuition whispers while anxiety screams. Now, I can tell you're a rather intuitive person, but I can definitely see where you may have trouble listening to your intuition because you may be unsure of whether something is a real intuitive hit or it is paranoia. I get a lot of Scorpio energy from this pile. Water energy in general, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, you could have any of those placements. But I do think that you may struggle a little bit to be able to trust yourself, because you may struggle with paranoia in some sort of way where you're unsure of whether it is that or it's intuition. And I think that you're being guided to the fact that it is more so paranoia than intuition. You're an incredibly deep person, and I can see that you've definitely been through a bit in your life that has really altered you in ways where it's harder for you to be more open. It's harder for you to trust when good things come into your life. And it may be hard to step outside of the normal cycles that you're used to and embrace new energies. So what I see here with the Ace of Cups and the King of Cups is there either could be something in your life, whether it be a new person, a new friend, a new interest, a new passion. It doesn't have to be an actual thing. It could just be a phenomena or the idea of something new coming in. For some of you, I get the vibe like you may be ready for something exciting again. You may be ready for a fresh start, something different, for some change. But I feel like it's either not coming or these things are coming, but you're afraid of sabotaging them due to your past, or you may not know how to be open and receptive to new energies. There's definitely this energy of reactiveness with you where maybe at times certain things trigger you and you have difficulty in taking a step back, and instead you might act on impulse or jump to a conclusion before the information to even approach that conclusion would even be there. But I also see an energy of something deeper where part of you is having this desire to go further towards your dreams, whatever that may be, but you're almost at the same time afraid to take action. There is no one scenario that this applies to in your life. I think this is your life in general and how you approach it. I definitely think that there is a desire to reconnect with the person that you were when you were a child. I definitely think that you've been through your fair share of traumatic experiences and struggles and difficulties. And I definitely think that you have been doing an excellent job of trying to work through them and being patient with yourself as you do that. So I really want to applaud you on being so kind to yourself, being so patient with yourself, and trying your best not to beat yourself up when maybe you make a mistake or you don't see something clearly initially. The biggest thing that I'm getting right now is that you may be in this energy of blocking your blessings out of fear. And I don't say this from a place of shame. I don't say this from a place of you should know when your blessings are coming. I say this from a place of you might feel like the universe is intentionally withholding things from you or intentionally punishing you, and that's not the case at all. It's that reactive energy of yours where maybe something good is coming in and you don't necessarily trust it, or you may not be able to recognize certain opportunities as blessings, and you may write them off before you have the opportunity to see what they are. Now, once again, I have to strongly reiterate that there is no reason to shame yourself for this, because it is, once again, just a reactive thing that you're doing from the experiences that you've had. And I think in your mind, you're kind of looking at it as, I'm not really blocking it. I'm just stopping it from progressing because I'm afraid of being right and then something bad happening, or this blessing turning out to be awful or not what I thought. And I see your logic here and I understand it. It's kind of like this and that are true. There could be dual meanings. So, a neutral opportunity comes in and part of you might be like, oh, this could be really awesome. But at the same time, it's like, is this like some nefarious thing in disguise that's pretending to be something good when it's actually a lesson or a challenge or something like that. And the universe is really saying that, one, you're way too hard on yourself, like, period, you're way too hard on yourself. And it's understandable that you would be hard on yourself based on your past experiences and just based upon the things that you've had to deal with starting with a young age. And there's no need to shame yourself for what you've gone through. However, I can see that you're having a really hard time integrating the parts of you that want to grow and flourish and try new things and have new experiences, and the parts of you that are cautious and closed off because they're afraid of being hurt or being put through another cycle of pain that could potentially be unnecessary. So the first thing that I need you to know, pile 3, is that you are not the person that you were when these things occurred. I think a lot of this was from childhood or maybe from being a teenager, adolescent, something like that. But you've grown a lot. With the King of Cups being here, your emotional maturity is honestly very impressive, and you have a very deep emotional body, and you're actually incredibly intuitive. I think the problem comes in with being able to trust your intuition and being able to make a decision based on your intuition even when you don't have any concrete facts. Aces always talk about opportunities, and with the Ace of Cups, I feel like anything that seems positive and exciting, any opportunities, especially if they come in the form of a person or a passion, you might be really suspicious of, especially because it is quite possible that people from your past could have come in very positive energies and then revealed themselves to not necessarily be the case. But I also think that you've learned from the mentality of just jumping into something without looking. I think that is maybe something that got you into trouble in the past, was maybe not being very discerning or not really looking too deeply into things. And now I feel like you've kind of done the opposite, where you look incredibly deeply into things, almost to the point where you may be reading into things that aren't really there. That's why I think this kind of plays into a bit of paranoia here. And I just want to confirm to you that that's not your intuition speaking. That's just your fears and past experiences coming up. And it is blocking your ability to be in your intuition. With the Horse card being here, saying give yourself the space and the freedom to express your creativity, I feel like one reason why you may struggle to trust your intuition is because you don't necessarily have the proper outlets to discern what your intuition is telling you. And when I say proper outlets, that's going to be different for every single one of you here. I would pay attention to the ways in which you learn best. So for example, if you're an auditory learner, maybe speaking what you're feeling out loud, or if you're a tactile learner, maybe channeling your energies into sculpting or writing. Whatever way in which you learn best, I would encourage you to use a creative outlet that you can express your emotions and feelings, because that will give you a better idea of what your intuition is trying to tell you. I think more than anything, this pile would resonate with being clairsentient, which is psychic feeling. And I think it may be hard for you at times to trust what you're feeling, because I don't know if you've really gone into the nuances of your emotional body. It might be particularly triggering or difficult to sit in your emotions at times, so it may be almost easier to detach yourself from your emotional body rather than see what it has to say to you. So if you don't look at your emotions at this point as, if you have trouble feeling into your emotions, or you look at them as something you should be ashamed of or bad, I definitely think that's something that you need to discard from your perception, because your emotions are just data, and they're there to help give you information that maybe your logical brain is having trouble accessing. You are incredibly intuitive, and in fact, you can get a lot of information about people and situations based upon how you're feeling. Your body will not lie to you. But it may be hard to interpret what your body is telling you or what your emotions are telling you, especially if you don't make space to listen. So one of the biggest things that the universe is trying to make you aware of is that even if you're trying to be open to better things and blessings and things like that, you may be pushing them away or making it difficult to receive things without you being aware of it. There is a bit of a chaotic energy with you where I think when you start feeling things deeply, or you start to be open to something that could be exciting or bring you a lot of happiness, I think that can be very overwhelming, and you may almost sabotage it or push it away without giving it an opportunity to make an impression in your world, so that you don't have to open yourself up to the potential of being hurt. But what you're not necessarily seeing is that you're also pushing away the potential of welcoming in something that could be really positive and beneficial for you. And I think the difficult thing is that sometimes we're not always going to get things right. And I mean, really, how can we ever know whether something is right or wrong? That's not a real thing. I guess discerning whether something is right or wrong for us, I think you can be exceptionally hard on yourself when you make what you perceive to be a mistake, or you make a decision that doesn't necessarily align with what you're truly wanting. And I think the universe is trying to let you know that one, you're way too hard on yourself. And two, it's okay to make mistakes, or what you perceive to be mistakes, and that you can always change your actions once you have gathered more information. I think one thing you may want to be aware of is when maybe you're pushing things away before giving them a chance to really show what they truly are. And I'm thinking of an example of like drawing, for example. Maybe you really like drawing, but you hate how your drawings look. You think they look bad, and you're not good at drawing, so you're just not going to do it anymore. It's just not for you. When the universe might be saying, hey, sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something. Don't push the entire concept of drawing away just because you aren't happy with your first few. Everybody's first few drawings are gonna be dog shit. That's fine. That's the beauty of art. There's always a fresh piece of paper, and there's always something new to draw. And I think when it comes to you, I think you need to give yourself more space and more room to contemplate the things entering your world, or trying to enter your world, and contemplate how really receptive you are to anything outside of yourself. Because when we look at this King of Cups, you know, he's kind of sitting on his own island, kind of looking at life from afar. And it is quite possible you've been in a big hermit mode where you've kind of been doing a lot of internal healing, and as a result, you have kind of been detached from life a bit. But now I see this as kind of becoming your comfort zone, and you may be afraid to kind of go back out into life again and be a part of life again. And I think the universe is saying, being so deep into life that you're not aware of your internal world at all, or being so detached from life that you don't have an external reality and mainly just your internal world, neither one is really very healthy. What you're really wanting to strive for is a balance. The ability to be able to be open to life, see what it has to offer, see what opportunities will come your way, but also to take a step back and take time to see, how are these things making me feel? Do I feel uplifted by these experiences, or do I feel drained from them? That is a huge thing that will help you right away. When it comes to people, when it comes to activities, hobbies, if somebody or something makes you feel uplifted, makes you feel lighter, makes you feel excited, makes you feel happy, that might be a really good sign that it's something positive for you. But on the flip side, if it's something that leaves you drained, if it's something that leaves you feeling more negative or feeling more down on yourself or unhappy, that might be a sign that that's something not in alignment with you. But what I'm really seeing here is that you do have a huge desire for change, but you may find yourself making impulsive decisions that don't necessarily lead to positive change, because it's almost, there's this kind of all or nothing energy where it's like, I either act or I don't, and I don't want to think about my actions, because then I second guess them, and then you get into this pattern where it's like really stop and go. And I think the universe right now is kind of training you to learn how to be in the flow of life and trust yourself as you go through it. There's no reason to be shaming the emotions that come through you during this time, because they actually serve an important purpose in giving you information about what you're experiencing. But you have to be open to interpreting it and understanding what's really going on. So for example, if you are, let's say, seeing someone for the first time, and you're really enjoying things with them, and you're really enjoying your time with them, but you're afraid of that, and you're like, well, what if they're just being fake? Or what if I'm missing red flags? And maybe you've only seen them once, and then you never talk to them again because you're afraid that maybe they're not as good as you interpreted, and you don't want to risk getting hurt. But what if you had just maybe seen them 3 or 4 more times? That could have given you the opportunity to pick up on maybe red flags that you hadn't seen before, and then say, okay, I feel like I've seen enough of this person to know whether they could be a positive or not so positive addition to my life, or B, maybe they're really real, and maybe those feelings continue. Maybe you continue to feel uplifted and you continue to feel more positive, but you really won't know until you explore. And I think there is this fear of exploration because you're unsure of what may happen, and I think you're afraid of being able to trust yourself to make the right decisions for you. You might have this energy where you immediately write someone or something off the minute it doesn't match your expectations, or the minute a little bit of fear trickles up. You've built up some pretty strong walls, and I think the universe is trying to get you to be aware of the fact that you don't need walls that high in order to explore life. In fact, that's just going to keep life out and keep you feeling isolated from the outside world. It may be hard for you to understand how you can merge with people's energies and with the outside world better, but I think you doubt how wonderful you are and how much people do genuinely enjoy being in your presence. I think you have really insightful things to say. I think you're very emotionally intelligent, and I think a lot of people feel very supported in your presence. You might have the type of personality to go on funny rants or have hot takes that just make people laugh their asses off. I really think that you have a lovely personality when you actually allow people to see it. But I do think you may hide so much of your natural self that people can't really get to know you, and you may wonder, well, why aren't people trying harder to get to know me? And it might be because they interpret you as being closed off or not wanting to interact with them. I do think there is a need to be aware of how you come across and ask yourself, am I being open and receptive to this situation, or am I writing this situation or person off before I've truly gotten to know them? Because I think the thing is that you're almost relying on your intuition to make decisions when you haven't even given yourself enough time to explore something yet. Your intuition will get much stronger as you give yourself more time to explore. But when you jump into something or write something off so quickly, you're gonna continue to exist in this state of not knowing because you never give yourself the opportunity to explore something enough. You don't have to you don't have to see someone once and then decide, okay, I'm gonna be with them. That's a little bit scary, right? You need time to get to know someone. You need time to see how you both are going to get along, or see how a friendship is going to occur. obviously most friendships start out really well, and it usually isn't until well into it when you start to see each other for who you truly are and see how you can work through certain things, or maybe recognize that your friendship isn't supportive of one another anymore. There's this weird societal expectation sometimes, I think, that we should just automatically know whether something is good for us or not, or we should be able to figure out whether something is going to be the right move for us or not. But honestly, we don't know until we do it. And the beautiful thing is that we can always change our mind, and we can grow, and we can learn from it. And I think one thing that you're really struggling to do is to give yourself the room and the freedom to explore without making judgments of whether that exploration will be positive or negative. I feel like for some of you, you came from a household where it wasn't okay to be wrong. You had, maybe things were really strict, maybe you didn't have the freedom to do a lot of things, and it might have created this mentality in your mind without you even realizing that you may be afraid to explore things because you don't want to be wrong, because your nervous system has told you it's not safe to be wrong, it's not okay to be wrong. And even wrongness in of itself is kind of bullshit, right? You know, right and wrong are incredibly subjective, and what's right or wrong for you or someone else is going to be very different. So I think what you really need to hear right now, Pile 3, is that you need to be easier on yourself, and also easier on other people and the things trying to come in, because I think that you are kind of hyper aware right now because you are protecting yourself, and that's completely understandable. But the universe is saying you don't have to make these quick, concrete decisions about someone or something the first time you meet them, or as soon as you've learned a little bit. You can give yourself the time and space to really contemplate what you're experiencing, or really take the time to get to know someone and make a decision when you feel you've had enough information to go off of, and you're starting to feel more confident about the vibes that you're picking up, because you are incredibly intuitive. You can trust your intuition, but it may be hard for you to know what sort of decisions to make when you don't give yourself enough time to explore it. So I think the biggest thing that the universe is telling you is that you need to be kinder to yourself, and kinder in terms of giving yourself the room and freedom to explore, and finding peace in the idea that you may not know what to do yet, and that's okay. Just being open to what might be, but also being aware of making sure your boundaries are respected and enforced. So going into situations, making sure you know what your boundaries are so that you can enforce them. I think that while you do spend a lot of time with yourself, you may not spend a lot of time with yourself in terms of almost making plans. There is this thing that I learned in a self-defense class that I took once, where they talked about essentially coming up with plans for yourself should something happen, like a bad thing happen. So for example, let's say you're in your car and your brakes are not working. Okay, what are you going to do? What are your steps? Come up with those plans. Come up with that safety plan for yourself, which obviously that's a lot easier said than done. But when you're somebody who worries a lot, it might be helpful for you to have, okay, if the situation is going really well, how am I going to approach this? And how am I going to, what are signs for me that someone is safe? What are signs for me that a person may not be right for me, or a situation may not be right for me? What am I going to do if I'm not feeling safe? What am I going to do if I decide that I don't think that me and this person will mesh? It's almost like if you spent time coming up with plans for how you're going to respond should a certain phenomena occur, it might help you go into situations with more confidence, and how you respond to them is up to you. But I think you may ruminate over the potential possibilities of how something could go wrong, and it might be helpful for you to have those kind of little plans in place for yourself. You don't have to tell anyone, you don't have to do anything, but you might find that those plans that you made help you feel more secure going into a situation where you're uncertain. there is a real need to be kind to yourself, because I can tell you've definitely been through some really difficult trauma. And when you go through those experiences, you can't just wake up one day and decide, I'm fine now. I can just live and exist and there's going to be no issues. Like, you know, healing from that stuff does not happen overnight. It is a constant process through time, and healing is not linear in the slightest. But just because you've been through traumatic things and difficult things doesn't mean you're any less deserving of the wonderful things the world has to offer. And you have to remember that. Unfortunately, there are going to be people and situations that hurt us and are not good to us. But the more power we have over ourselves and the more agency we have over ourselves and the more we heal and learn from past pain and mistakes, the more we grow and the more we're ready to handle the challenges that life throws at us. But I think you're massively overestimating how challenging life has to be. I think that the universe really does want to give you a bit of a break and an opportunity to see some good things in life and have some good people come in and fun experiences. But I think you're holding yourself back out of fear that you might experience the same things you did in the past. But I do want to remind you, because of your past experiences, you have things to be aware of. You know certain signs of when someone might not be good news or when a situation might not be good for you. And when you find yourself in new situations that replicate past feelings, that might be a sign that your intuition is telling you, hey, this may not be a positive situation or a safe situation for us, let's leave. Whereas if you're in a situation and you're having a good time and you're feeling good, that's not something you should fear. That's something you should embrace, because you deserve to feel that way. You're a human. You deserve to have positive, fun, loving experiences, and you don't deserve to tear yourself down and hold yourself back from life because you assume that because other people have treated you in horrible ways, that means you're just deserving of horrible treatment forever. That's not the case. You're just as deserving of love and good things as anyone else. But you're not going to be able to be open to them if you push away any good opportunity that comes forward. I just had a book come in my mind. I need something to write on so that you have it. I don't have any paper near me. I'll just write on the back of this. Fuck it. Okay. Alan Watts. Excellent human. The Wisdom of Insecurity. That's your book assignment. I'm writing it down right now so you can see it, okay? Alan Watts, The Wisdom of Insecurity. Obviously, I didn't have much room, but you'll find it, okay? That's your book assignment. Anyway, no one goes into life like knowing exactly how something is going to turn out or how they're going to go about something. And you need to give yourself the room and the freedom to figure things out, to explore things, and to discover things, and not pressure yourself to make a decision before you're ready. And if someone is pressuring you to make a decision before you're ready, that's a red flag, and that's a sign that that is someone who's not going to respect your boundaries. Boundaries are so fucking important, and the way people respond to our boundaries is the exact reason why we needed those boundaries in the first place. Because when you set boundaries with someone, most people will typically be very understanding. But if someone is mean to you or upset by your boundaries, those are the exact people that you need to have boundaries with. And those are the exact people who will create harm in your life, who will overstep their bounds, who will not respect your agency or what you want. So essentially, the universe is really asking you to be patient with yourself as you discover and explore, and not be so hard on yourself and expect yourself to know right away whether something is right for you or not. You're allowed to explore and just see what could be. That's part of the fun of life. And I know sometimes it might be like, I don't want to explore. I just want to know whether something is right or not. But that's not living. That's just knowing. And we're not always meant to know. It would make life less fun. But I think because you've had a lot of life experiences that haven't been so fun, it's hard for you to be open sometimes to the possibilities that life could be really fun and that you could have wonderful, positive experiences with people that uplift you and make you feel loved and a part of society. You might sometimes feel like you're separate from humanity, but I have to remind you that you're not. And in fact, I mean, the sheer fact that you're resonating with this pile There are going to be other pile 3s. If you're pile 3, comment. There's someone that you have something in common with. You both resonate with this energy. You might come from completely different places, completely different cultures, completely different backgrounds, but you're both resonating with this energy and this experience. And that's the thing. We look all the time at the ways in which we're different from one another, but there's so many ways in which we're the same. And I promise you that there are far more people out there that would embrace you with open arms and embrace the person that you are than there are people that would reject you, shame you, and not want you around. And those are people that you don't want in your life anyway. But I think you heavily discount how wonderful you are because unfortunately some shitty people made you think you were less than. But I've got news for you, buddy. You're actually pretty great. And I think that you should give yourself the room and the freedom to explore new opportunities and not block the blessings the universe is trying to give to you. But don't worry, the universe is going to continue to send blessings your way even if you do, because you are a genuinely kind person and you're doing your best. And I promise you that the universe sees you in a far higher light than you see yourself. And in fact, the more kindness you give to yourself, the more you'll realize how hard we all are on ourselves and how hard it can be to be open to good things. I think sometimes we can almost be addicted to our own suffering or get so used to our own suffering that the thought of being out of it is incredibly uncomfortable, but almost painful. I think it's not an easy thing to grow and heal, but I think what you need to be aware of is that it's going to be a process for you. It's not going to be something that ceases to exist overnight, and it's not going to be something, your trauma is not something that's just going to magically disappear. It's going to be something that you have to work with. But I promise you that there are plenty of people out there who share similar experiences to you and will be loving and patient as you work through them. And it might be really freeing to realize that you're not the only one. I mean, it might be sad in certain ways to realize that you're not the only one going through these things, but I promise you're way less alone than you realize. You're not alone. In fact, there are so many beings that love you so much that are doing everything they can to make life on this dirt hole planet. Oh, sorry, Mother Earth. I don't want to call you a dirt hole. Your inhabitants are kind of dirty though. To make this difficult life experience a little bit more pleasurable, because there are really wonderful, wonderful things in life. But if we're not open to them, we can't experience them. So let's go ahead and see what messages your spirit guides want to say to you. What advice they have for you. I feel like I just need to reiterate again, like, how awesome you are. Like, you seriously need to be nicer to yourself. Like, seriously. But this card wants to come out, and it says, pause. Take a moment, close your eyes, relax your body, just breathe slowly, deeply. I think you may be the type of person who gets caught up in fight or flight a lot, even when maybe it's just as a response. And I think with this meditate and contemplate and pause, breathing and breath work could be something that's very, very helpful to you. Because you'd actually be surprised how helpful just breathing in a way that is calming can help you out. But like I said, you don't need to have answers instantaneously. You're allowed to step back and look at things from a different perspective. You're allowed to not know things and be unsure. You're allowed to explore things. And it's important to remind yourself of that, because your ego might write things off before you really have the opportunity to explore something, because you're trying to keep yourself safe. But in that way, you're just closing yourself off from new experiences. But what else, Spirit? Okay, these two are coming out. Patience. Great things take time to manifest quickly. Trust more than you doubt. Yes. I am love. I give love freely. I receive love constantly. So those could be good affirmations to say to yourself. We also have everything is always working out for me. That's a great one. Everything is always working out in my favor. You could just say that to yourself, even when you don't know. Everything is always working out. Just trusting, I think, could be incredibly helpful. So we have 3 more. Beautiful soul. You glow when you are comfortable in your skin. Your beauty goes beyond what you can see in a mirror. You are perfect as you are. I am abundant. I attract everything I need. and it is safe to relax because the universe has your back. Your divine purpose is to enjoy your life, which is basically exactly what I was saying, because you deserve that. Me coughing, choking on my own spit like that might be a sign you need to work on your throat chakra. Or drink water, hydrate yourself. And on the back of the deck, we have declutter, clean, organize, and prioritize, simplify your life, especially if you still have things from a particularly traumatic period in your life that don't necessarily hold or serve any purpose. Feel free to get rid of that stuff. Objects hold energy, and sometimes it can be very freeing to let go of things that we had from our old life and be open to the new things that come. And yeah, I think these speak for themselves. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this reading off with a card from the White Light Oracle and see what final advice the universe wants to finish you off with. Okay. Spirit, what message would you like to leave pile 3 with? Okay, we have epsilon modulation. I'm gonna block the titties because I don't want to get demonetized. Okay. 28. Maybe the number 28 is significant for some of you. Okay. Gather your energies and go within to regenerate. Let your actions match your inner rhythms rather than trying to force yourself to keep pace with external cues. Commit to your own natural timing and pace. As you ground and connect to your center, you will realize your spiritual power to be at cause in any situation of concern. You have such goodness and light within you. Let go of shaming or blaming. Embrace the spiritual beauty within. Reaching inspired spiritual heights requires commitment to developing powerful, deep roots. A mature, creative offering takes longer to produce than that which is ephemeral and swiftly supplanted by whatever is next. To embrace the patience required for such building, surrender the need for immediate gratification. We must become so confident in the authenticity and value of our process that we are not in need of external evidence to bolster our courage. We can enjoy validation along the way, but must not turn away if it is absent for a time, especially if those around us appear to be moving faster. With such confidence and courage, we will be able to deepen and slow our breath and our restless nature and allow for the inner workings of our souls to manifest beautiful healing magic. This oracle asks you to ground yourself, believe in your potential, commit to your path, and be patient so great things can happen for you. Although the flash of stunning insight happens in an instant, it follows a complex orchestration of purification and preparation. There is a genius in patience and perseverance. They are the hallmarks of nature's long game of breathtakingly diverse creative displays. When we immerse ourselves in the sacred feminine wisdom that underpins Mother Nature's rapturous creativity, we live differently. We allow ourselves to not know what is coming next, to not need to have the entire picture before we trust things are going to work out. We use our power to attune and allow rather than to direct and demand. We shift from ego to soul, and in doing so, can embody our divine potential. This oracle asks you to trust in what is happening in your life. It doesn't need to make sense in order for you to benefit from it. Epsilon brainwaves are extremely slow, and their frequency is lower than conventional equipment can measure. They are indicative of the way the brain operates outside of the usual modes of thinking, as per the dictates of mass consciousness. In epsilon state, the brain reaches its lowest and slowest oscillations between 0.5 hertz and just above 0 hertz. In that place, extraordinary states of consciousness are accessed, including a pure awareness of the nature of being, the deepest levels of insight, and the regenerative bliss of spiritual emptiness. This oracle asks you to switch off and tune in. The greater perspective you'll find can bring you tremendous peace. It is fascinating that when in super slow epsilon, the brain produces effects similar to that of the hypergamma state and the even faster, over 100 hertz oscillations of lambda brainwaves. The brain operates in the sacred feminine territory of loops and spirals, rather than linear progression, and at this point of extreme polarity, there is reconnection and an experience of unity that shatters the extreme tension of difference. The super fast patterns appear to be riding on the super slow epsilon modulation. In epsilon, we find the wisdom of the yogis of India, who taught that in sitting still, we overtake those who are running. This oracle asks you to put your faith in the spiritual power of your path, dedicate yourself to your personal development, and seek out the loving presence of those upon the earth and in spirit who nurture your heart and protect your soul. Couldn't have said it better myself. So there is a healing process here, and I'm just going to kind of hold it here so you can screenshot it and use it. So I'm going to turn the page now. I hope you screenshotted that. I hope you're seeing that. Well, okay. Yeah. Okay, and then here is the back of the card, and you can screenshot that as well and do this healing exercise should you feel so called to. Up to you and up to your discernment. But pile 3, I think that is where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching and for watching my ads or just letting them play in the background. That is the simplest and easiest way for you to support me and my channel. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video. You can comment down below. Let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already. And you can click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can also check out my social media, which is linked below, though do be aware I have tons of scammers pretending to be me. I do not offer personal readings, and I will not try to solicit a personal reading from you in your DMs. And I have merch, which is linked below. But that's all I have for you guys, so thank you so much for watching and for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 4. If you guys chose the Amethyst Tower and the Pagan Tarot, this is going to be your reading on what you need to hear right now. I can't believe this is actually my first time using this deck on this channel, and I've had it for so long, so I hope you guys like it. But we are just letting anything and everything come through, whatever Spirit wants you to know about. So we're not doing an energy check today because hopefully within a few minutes of listening, you should know whether the message is for you or not. But if you find it's not, feel free to check out a different pile or check out a different video or just do anything that makes you happy on this planet, because that's really all that matters. Okay. So let's see, Spirit, what does pile 4 need to hear at this time? Okay, we have the Moon in reverse and the 5 of Pentacles. Okay, we have Strength coming out in reverse. I'm going to take the rest of them. We have the 3 of Swords in reverse. We have the Queen of Swords upright. Oh my God, we've had so many titties in the video today. I swear I've had to censor so many cards. Not that there's anything wrong with titties, I've got them myself, but YouTube has a problem with it, so. Okay, we have the Knight of Cups in reverse. And on the back of the deck, we have the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. Interesting energies. Let's go ahead and look at your oracle cards now. You actually got 2 of these big blue guys, so let's look at those first. To start, we have allowance. The frequency of allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way without judgment, without opinion, without fear, and without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wondrous dance of existence and expansion. And we have Gaia. The frequency of Gaia reminds us that we are infinitely connected to one another, just as we are to our great mother and to the universe who birthed us all. Okay. Let's see what else we have. We have Spider with Dreamweaver. Tune into the energetic grids around you. Where can you send your energy for healing? We have Campfire Circle. Create deep and magical connections, relationships, bonding, community. We have Esau. We have bring love into the situation, new moon in Aquarius. We also have rose. And finally, we have tree, vitality, energy, loyalty. I don't like this spirit quartz on here. I'm gonna pick a different crystal. We'll do angel aura. Okay, that's fine. Pile 4. Okay, this is a little bit rough. I'm not gonna lie, and I really feel for you. So I just want to say before I even start this channeling, like, I'm sending you so much love, and I really hope you know how loved you are, even if you don't believe it. You're allowed to be wrong, and you're wrong in that case. Even if you can't see the love that's around you, there is love around you, even if it's from people that you don't know yet. What I see right away is definitely the energy of, honestly, I just want to give you a hug, like, really badly, because I can tell that you're really frustrated with the world right now, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's hard for you to have hope or feel hopeful about anything. It definitely seems like you're kind of in a spiritual winter right now, and I do think there is an important purpose for that. I think it's partially because there's definitely healing that you're working through. I definitely think that you have experienced some deep betrayals from people that were close to you, and I think you've had the rug ripped out from underneath you, and it has, and for a lot of you, this could be very far in the past, because I definitely feel like you're still working through, I was going to say working through residual trauma, which that could definitely be the case, but I feel like for a lot of you, you have created a version of yourself that you've needed in order to feel safe and in order to be able to function. This is very like survival mode energy to me. And obviously things like trauma change the brain and things like that. But I think the universe needs you to know how special and important you are. And not only that, how much more you are than you think you are. And the fact that the way others treat you is not a reflection of you, but it's a reflection of them. And unfortunately, I think you've had the experience of believing that other people's treatment of you was a reflection of your worth. And now I see you're at a place where you're either in an energy of rock bottom or an energy of, I want to build myself up again, but I don't know where to start. I don't know how. I feel frozen. I feel trapped. I feel unloved. I feel unworthy. And I'm so sorry that you're dealing with this. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. And I need you to know first and foremost that even though you may believe those things, does not make them true. And in fact, you're worthy of so many wonderful, beautiful things. And it's important to remember that sometimes we can't see things clearly because we're working through our own pain. And Spirit has kind of hit the pause button on your evolution right now, because what's really important is healing. Because I can tell that at your core, you're a very ambitious person, and you're not somebody, I don't think you ever pictured yourself becoming a person like this. To be fair, I don't think anyone ever pictures themselves getting into a state like this. I think it's just something that happens as a response to difficult experiences that we have. And in this case, you might be feeling really dejected, you might be feeling abandoned, and you might feel like you're truly alone in this world, and I need you to know that you're not. And in fact, you're so much stronger than you think you are. And anyone that has told you that you're less than or made you believe that you can't be more than what you are now, they were lying. And unfortunately, I think maybe you've had a past of romantic partners that were not good to you, that made you feel like you weren't worthy, that made you feel like you weren't valuable. And as a result, there's healing that needs to be done. And I do want to say that the universe does not ever want you to go through trauma or difficult experiences like this. This is not the doing of Spirit. Spirit would never intentionally put you in situations to harm you. That's just kind of life. When people say, well, if God exists, how come we have wars? Well, God didn't create the wars, the humans did. And unfortunately, humans can be very awful and very problematic and horrible, as we see every day, horrible things happening. That's human. That's not God. That's human. And unfortunately, we have to heal from what we do to each other as humans. And there are humans that are in really deep amounts of pain that don't know how to deal with it and instead inflict their pain on others. And I think, unfortunately, you've been on the receiving end of some really, really disturbed people that hurt you, and I'm really sorry for that. And I need you to know that that's not your fault, and that's not something the universe would ever want for you. That's just unfortunately a side effect of life sometimes, and humans aren't necessarily always great. And so what I can see here is, understandably, it seems like you're very closed off to the outside world in general. And I think there's a very important purpose for that, and that's mainly so that you can start healing, so that you can start processing what you've been through. And it's likely for a lot of you that you've already been in this place for a while, and you may be ready for something new, but you may be frustrated that something new isn't happening. And by something new, I don't mean necessarily mean like a romantic relationship or something like that. I just mean it definitely feels like you're ready for a change, you're ready for growth, you're ready to move forward from a lot of the difficulties that you've been experiencing, and the universe is agreeing with you. But your energy shows that you're not ready yet. And I don't mean that in a shaming way. I just mean that in literally, you just need more time and to be more patient with yourself. Because I think that your mental body is maybe almost rejecting the parts of you that are in pain, or maybe invalidating the parts of you that are in pain, and making you feel like you should be healed and have things figured out and be ready to move forward, when healing is not linear and trauma doesn't go away overnight, unfortunately. And what you need to know is that it is okay to take as much time as you need to heal. And in fact, the universe is not going to put opportunities on your path that you're not ready for, because they want you to be truly ready for them and be able to embrace them. And right now, you're in a place where you're just needing to heal. I mean, that, and I know that's a really frustrating word to hear. Like, yeah, healing isn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world. And having another reader say, oh, you need to love yourself, like, that doesn't really help very much. But it really does start with you, and it really does start with asking yourself, how can I be open to healing? How can I be kind to myself while I'm experiencing this? How can I empower myself through this process? Because it's not easy. It's very exhausting. And even now, I feel like I don't really think there are any words that can make anything truly better or fix anything. And I guess that's the thing. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. You know, you're just a person who has gone through a lot and needs time to work through what they've been through. And until that happens, it's going to be really hard to be open to life and have experiences where you feel free and don't feel like you need to protect yourself and aren't in such a dark place. You might be like, thanks, Xoxo, I know all of this. What's the bright side of this? There is a bright side. Because this, let me show you where you're headed. But this, okay. How do I best word this? There are beautiful things in your future, beautiful things that you already know are coming. And I think that's why you want to kickstart this process of being better so quickly. And here's the thing, you don't need to be better. You are valid and enough the way you are. There is no reason why you need to rush your process of healing. I understand you might want to move on, you might want to move forward, but the universe right now has you in a point of stillness because that is what is in your best interest. In fact, it is this stillness that will help you move forward quicker in the future. Because essentially what I'm seeing is, if you don't have this period of stillness where you really give yourself a break to rest and heal. Even, and let me say, healing doesn't need to be an active thing. Even just giving yourself time to rest and not force yourself to do things before you're ready, and not force yourself to push beyond what you're experiencing. Like, just giving yourself that time to be and flow with the energies that you're experiencing, even if those energies are stillness, that is healing in of itself. Just allowing yourself to work through things in your own time, in your own pace, in your own way. And you might be feeling like the world is too fast to allow you to heal, and that's not true. In fact, the world will, nothing that is ever meant for you will miss you. And in fact, the universe is purposefully slowing things down so that you can take time and space to heal. Because right now, the way things stand, you wouldn't be able to, it would be a lot harder. I wouldn't say you wouldn't be able to, because I think you're a very capable person and you're capable of a lot. But it could feel like too much too soon, and it could be too overwhelming, and trying to push yourself forward before you're ready could have the opposite effect of what you're actually hoping for. So the universe is almost like, you know the phrase rejection is divine protection. The universe is really trying to keep you safe right now and give you that room and space to heal, so that things don't unintentionally become harder or more painful or more difficult. And the universe wants you to know that you're not alone, and that you're so loved. And this kind of winter that you're going through right now does hold a purpose. Even though it sucks and it's challenging and it's not fun, it does serve a purpose, and you don't need to beat yourself up for what you're going through. I almost feel like you do need to validate the fact that, you know, you are kind of going through this period of stillness, and that's okay. It's really hard to be in periods of stillness when we live in a world that is so go, go, go. But you have to remind yourself that you don't have to exist on the outer world's clock, that you don't have to do things the way you think you should. And in fact, trusting yourself that you can take that time for yourself to heal is actually far more productive than trying to push away the things that are bringing you pain and pretending like they don't exist. Because no matter what, even if you try to ignore it, it will come up in a certain way in the future. And so this winter of this stillness that you're going through right now is going to help you reorient how you see yourself and help you heal from things that are just important to heal from before you can engage with life in a way where you feel safe enough to be open to what comes. Because there are very beautiful things in your future, I must say. With the campfire circle, create deep and magical connections, relationship, bonding, community, and tree. Two things that I see in your future are beautiful, supportive, either friendships, could be romantic relationships for some of you, but I think mainly friendships that are very supportive and will show you that you were never alone. The universe is listening to you. The universe is with you. And in fact, the universe is helping you through this process, even if you don't feel like it is. And it's okay not to feel like that. And I think also it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel exhausted. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. The only thing that's not okay is to bully yourself, shame yourself, or gaslight yourself into thinking that any of your responses to what you've gone through is invalid or wrong. The biggest thing that needs healing right now is your own response to how you're dealing with your own trauma and your own difficulties. The world is already hard enough, and there's already tons of pain and challenge in life. The last thing you need to do is beat yourself up and bully yourself too. It's understandable why you would, but it's important to recognize that it's going to be really, really, really difficult to heal and get beyond this phase if you're not even with yourself on that. If you're divided and part of yourself is bullying yourself and making yourself feel like you don't deserve to heal, or that you don't deserve to grow, or that you don't deserve to be more than you are, then that's going to make it a hell of a lot harder to transcend these energies. And so the universe needs you to understand that you are so loved and so worthy of beautiful, wonderful things. But sometimes in order to get to that place, we have to deal with the things that need our immediate attention. It's like let's say you really wanted to get your hair cut, and on the way to getting your hair cut, you broke your leg. And you're laying on the side of the road with a broken leg, and you're like, but I need my hair cut. I need to get my hair cut today. I got this appointment. I want to get my hair cut. And the paramedics are like, dude, your leg is broken. We need to deal with your broken leg first. We'll get you your hair cut, but like, we got to get that thing in a cast and shit. You wouldn't shame someone with a broken leg, tell them to rub some dirt on it and move forward. Treat your trauma like a broken leg and recognize that sometimes we have to put aside the things that we want for the things that we need. Because this is a need. Attending to yourself and giving yourself the time and space to work through and process what you've gone through is a need. It's not something you can push away. And because the universe wants you to have what you want too. But sometimes they'll protect you from receiving that until you're actually ready for it. And this is a case where that is the case. In fact, I think that you're going to meet and make friends with people that have gone through very similar things to you, and it's going to be incredibly empowering. In fact, you might actually meet some of these people during this time, and it might be something that's really freeing and very healing for you to recognize that you're not the only one going through these things, and that there's actually a network of support that maybe you were unaware of before. I feel like that's going to be different for all of you, but I need you right now to recognize that you're an acorn, not the giant oak tree. But you will be the giant oak tree. It just takes time and growth. And trees don't become big old thick guys in a day. You know, the acorn doesn't wake up being the big mighty oak tree. It takes a long time. It takes growth. It takes finding roots. It takes lots of cycles. And the universe is saying you're going to get there. But you can't shame and rush yourself to get to a point where you think you should be, just because you think you should be there. The universe sometimes knows what we need more than we recognize that we need it. And that can be frustrating. But I promise you that you're being held and supported and nurtured by the universe, by your guides during this time, even if you don't feel that way. And truthfully, I don't think that there's a lot of things that I could say right now that could truly make anything feel better. But I need you to know that you're not alone, that I'm sending you so much love, and that this cycle of your life is temporary. It may feel like it's not, but it is. And you will get through this. You will grow through this, and you're far stronger than you could ever imagine. And strength doesn't come from being domineering. It doesn't come from pushing away our difficulties. It doesn't come from pretending like we don't have emotions or we don't have wounds. It comes from surrendering what we go through and growing through it. It comes from recognizing that sometimes we're gonna be weak. Sometimes we're gonna need help. Sometimes we're gonna need time just to heal. True strength takes recognizing what we need and acknowledging what we're experiencing and giving ourselves the time, the room, and the freedom to do what we need to do in order to work through this energy. You can't force yourself to run on a broken leg, and it would be completely unrealistic and incredibly dangerous to do that. And so even though you may not be able to see a physical example of your pain, that doesn't mean it's any less valid. Anytime you invalidate your pain, I want you to think of it as a broken leg, because that's essentially what you're dealing with right now. And it may be hard to see it that way, and it may be hard to believe that you're worthy of healing because you're you, but I need you to know that you're wrong. And the things that which really right and wrong is kind of subjective, but you're wrong about thinking you're not worthy of healing. If you can look at other people on the street and see that they're worthy of beautiful things, how can you not see that you're worthy of the same things? Just because you're you, that means that magically you should just suffer and not have any good things? That's irrational. That's not a rational thought. You have to remember that you're just as valid of the wonderful, beautiful things in life. You're just as valid as anyone else, and you deserve time and space to heal. Picture someone that you love dearly, and imagine they're going through what you're dealing with right now. Would you tell them to suck it up and just move forward and move on? No, you wouldn't. You would be patient with them. You would be kind with them. You would do what you could to support them. And I would say right now, if you know anyone in your life that could be a support system through this struggle, please tell them. Don't hide your struggles. Don't hide what you're going through because you're trying to save other people. I promise you, there are people that even if they can't make things better, would be happy to be a listening ear and be there to support you. I promise you, you're more loved than you think you are. And not only that, I think there are people that have no idea what you're actually experiencing right now. And if you communicated that to them, I think that their behavior towards you would change, not necessarily in a way of pity, but they would probably be like, why didn't you tell me sooner? Like, they would want to be there for you. Obviously, it is your choice what or who you tell, but I just want you to know you're not alone, and you'd actually be surprised how supportive some of the people around you are. And if you don't have any supportive people around you, I see that coming in your future. I see that being one of the first things you start attracting are supportive people. I just heard colleagues. So it is quite possible there could be something that you like in terms of volunteering or interning or starting a career path that maybe has to do with what you're dealing with right now. It's quite possible that you could fall into a career path that way. But right now, this is about having compassion for yourself during a difficult time and not shaming yourself and treating yourself like you need to be more healed than you are. You're exactly where you need to be, and the universe is responding to what you've been through and giving you the time and space to work through what you need to heal. Don't shame yourself for not being able, for quote unquote, not being able to attract what you want. That's not the case. It's just that you need time to work through what you're going through and not shame yourself. But I promise you have such beautiful energies coming into your life. And in fact, I think that you're going to be a real inspiration for other people that go through similar things to you. I think that you really are going to be a force to be reckoned with. You already are, but man, when you come out of this spiritual winter, there's going to be a serious vitality to you that the world's going to have to watch out for, because man, you are fierce, and you're going to come out of this spiritual winter with a renewed passion and vitality towards whatever is meaningful to you. And I think that you're really going to create some meaningful things and be a very, very special person to a lot of people that inspires them and shows them that they can grow and heal too. It might be hard. You might want to give up sometimes, but I promise you that you will get through this, and you are so worthy of healing, so worthy of love, so worthy of the beautiful things that the universe has to offer. And in order to be able to be open to those, we got to heal the broken leg first. So I'm going to go ahead now and get into the channel messages, because I think that's pretty much all I can say with that without sounding like a broken record. But there's this real thing. I think maybe one thing you might be struggling with is feeling very alone through this process. And so there's a lot about, reminding that we're all connected to one another, and that the universe birthed us all, and now we are one. Look up at the moon. The same moonlight connects us all. In the end, we are more similar than we are different. We're in this together. And anytime you feel dejected or rejected by the universe, just trust that's not the case. Sometimes we take things more personally than they actually are, when rejection is actually divine protection. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily make things easier or less difficult, but it is important to remember that sometimes we may take things more personally or look at things from a distorted perspective, because we're just dealing with our own pain right now, and that's okay. Let's go ahead and see what your spirit guides want to say to you. So, Spirit, what messages do you have for pile 4, please? Enjoy the process. Celebrate every step forward. You are doing an amazing job. The journey is the gift. And the process may not be very enjoyable, but I do agree. Celebrate every small step forward. You may not give yourself enough credit for how far you've already come. And I think that also, if maybe you've made a lot of progress and you find yourself detracting back to an energy you don't want to be in, don't shame yourself for that. Like I said, healing isn't linear. You're not just going to wake up one day and just be fully healed. Healing is a process that never ends, and you can't shame yourself with where you're at. But we also have allow. Let it all flow to you. Allow others to lead. Let go of control and expectations. Trust what is yours will always find you, which I said. And get out of your own way. You are the reason, the cause, and the solution. Take back your power by remembering who you really are. And I think that this is a real get out of your own way of healing. And part of that getting out of your own way is removing expectations of how healed you should be or how far along you should be on your journey. What else, Spirit? Unstoppable. You are limitless. You can handle anything. Don't underestimate yourself. You have many unique talents. And we also have everything is always working out for me, which I think is a great affirmation you can tell yourself. And on the back of the deck, we have God lives within me. I have faith in what I cannot see. And so I really think that the universe is asking you to have faith in this process, even though you can't see what's coming out on the other side. Oh man, it's far more beautiful than you could ever imagine. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this reading off with a word of advice from Spirit. So, Spirit, what advice do you have for pile 4? What do they need to hear at this time, please? We have the sacrament of extreme unction. That is a fucking mouthful. Okay. So, 34. Your heart knows how to let go so you can find peace. It is time for you to experience spiritual closure. A beautiful new reality is opening up for you. Entering it requires you to release your attachment to the past. You have been inwardly preparing for a powerful rebirth. Now is the time to trust in what is meant for you and move toward it with an open, trusting heart and peaceful mind. In an ideal world, we would finish our inner work, be completely healed, check it off the list, and move on without any issues from the past intruding into our present life. In a more realistic view, we do our best to muddle through, gaining enough understanding and healing to attain some degree of closure and move on as best as we can, flicking off remnants of the past which can arise, even whilst we are doing our best to let go. In an even more challenging turn of our growth spiral, we may know something has run its course and no longer belongs in our world, and yet have trouble exercising the past in its pains, confusions, or attachments, so it bleeds through into the present, even though we know it doesn't belong there. To avoid the taint of the past causing unnecessary issues in the present, the Oracle of the Sacrament of Extreme Unction brings powerful spiritual last rites so you could be cleansed and liberated into the fullness of your next phase. In the Catholic tradition, extreme unction is performed at the time of physical passing to cleanse the soul and allow it to gracefully leave the body and enter the afterlife. In the context of this oracle, the symbolic equivalent of the sacrament is the powerful intervention of spirit to free you from the grip of what has been. It is a liberation from habit and the compelling lure of the familiar. It is divine forgiveness and healing. Extreme unction translates into last anointing. While spiritual grace will be with you always, and blessing is always available to the receptive heart, this oracle wishes to bring you to your attention to the ending of a particularly stubborn pattern. As it does, you will feel greater freedom and a new lease on life, as if you are being born again within this lifetime. It augurs significant and permanent healing release. As the expression goes, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. This oracle encourages you to embrace your future and let go of the emotional and psychological burdens you have been carrying for yourself and likely for many others, ancestors and more, for far too long. Sometimes we martyr ourselves to the pain of the past or even attempt to carry the suffering of others, holding it within our hearts as if that can alleviate the burden of another or create healing. All that happens in such instances is that suffering increases. Let yourself off the hook of guilt, shame, or blame. Give yourself permission to acknowledge that all people, including you, have done their best. The universe is offering you a powerful spiritual gift. Your heart knows how to receive it. Let go. There is no turning back. It is time to start anew. It is your time to be happy and free. So there is a healing process here. If you want to screenshot this and do that, feel free. So I'm just going to hold that there. Screenshot it if you want. but I definitely think that said it better than I could myself. And I think it is very true. I think you are ready for this change, but it's about allowing yourself to let go. And if you're not ready to let go yet, give yourself some time and peace until you're ready. You don't have to force your healing to happen quicker than it needs to. I think the most important thing here is to be patient and kind with yourself as you work through this, because you will work through it. You're incredibly powerful, and I have the utmost faith in you, pile 4. I know that this will be temporary, and in the words of Michael Scott, you have no idea how high you can fly. So, pile 4, I am going to leave this reading here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads or letting them play in the background. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me and my channel. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You could subscribe if you haven't already, and you can click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can also check out my merch, which is linked below, or you can check out my social media. Though do be aware, I have tons of scammers pretending to be me right now. So just know I don't offer personal readings, and I will never try to solicit a personal reading from you via your DMs. If somebody does that claiming to be me, they are a liar and a scammer. But that's all I have for you guys. I'm sending you so much love, and I am wishing you the best in the future. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye!